So first off, before I say my five, I have to issue an apology to you, Elson. There's a chance I may have told you this guy was not worth watching, and that is because I made probably the dumbest mistake anybody's made in the 21st century, except for the guy who designed the AirPods. Yeah. So my number five is, and
You did, in fact, tell me that he was not worth watching.
I definitely told you he wasn't worth watching, and I can't explain.
Welcome to the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. I'm Elson Gratz, joined by my co-host Victor Ratliff, and today we've got one of our most fun episodes of the summer, 2026 NFL Draft running back rankings. Victor, am I wrong in thinking that running back tape is the easiest to watch? Not like easy as in you watch it and you just know what the guy's going to be, but it's just easy to sit down and watch running back tape.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. We were talking about this, how it's just both of us, it's the quickest to watch these guys. This is the most players I've watched of any position. But it's also just, it's kind of fun. It's a little bit more fun, just a little bit. Because yes, we love, the technical nitty-gritty of the linemen, but there's just something about watching a guy break a couple tackles, then go 75 yards to the house and just outrun everybody else. There's something different about that. And everybody's been watching running back since the day they started watching football. So it's just easier. So yeah, running backs is definitely an interesting one. And it's a fun episode too, because this one, it kind of brings everybody together, right? It brings the diehard BTS army who watch all the videos. Thank you so much, by the way. They're coming in, but they're also joined by the fantasy heads, the guys who want to get a jump on next year's draft, get a jump on guys who want to get a jump on the fantasy draft in Dynasty League, the real sickos. All right. They're watching this video. And then you just got the casual NFL fan who is for some reason watching Summer Scouting, who they'll watch the running backs, the receivers, the quarterbacks, and the corners. Those are the four big ticket positions, in my opinion: quarterback, running back, receiver, and corner. Those are the ones they watch. So hopefully we get more views on this video. Please come in, watch the video, of course. But yeah, this is one where everybody can agree. Running backs are awesome, fun to watch, and a little bit easier to understand than the rest of the position. There's less of a learning curve. Even though the complex stuff is really complex, the median technique and stuff, it's a little bit easier to understand than like line play, right? And quarterback mechanics.
Now, as much as I love the running back episode, it's kind of the most frustrating for me as well because, I mean, I watched 17 guys. You said you watched as much as you've done for any position this year, and we're both ranking 10. I have a feeling we're going to have some differences on the list as well. So we'll probably talk about 14, 15 running backs. There are still so many more guys I wanted to watch. I mean, I did 17 and I didn't get to Kanye Udo. I didn't get to Rasul Faison, Roman Hemby, Quentin Joyner. There are just so many names on the list because, I mean, there are 90 college football teams that have a running back that gets a lot of work and that can do stuff at an NFL level, not going to fumble, they're going to hit the hole. You want to watch them all. Sometimes you got to settle a little bit, but I think we have a nice list for you today.
Yeah, for sure. And as you said, there's just that is the struggle. I've watched more guys than I did in any other class, and I feel like I'm missing more guys than I have in any other position group too. Just some guys I didn't get to, in case you're wondering, oh, did I not have this guy in the top 10? I didn't get to Jamal Haynes, Georgia Tech, Jaheim White out of West Virginia, Bryson Washington out of Baylor, Desmond Reed out of Pitt. I really wanted to get to him. Quentin Joyner out of Texas Tech, Datrell Jones out of Boston College, and Daniel Highshaw Jr. out of Kansas. Those were all the guys on my board who I really wanted to get to, who I just couldn't because there's just not enough time in the 24 hours we're given. So you got to make some sacrifices.
See, those sound like a lot of good names because obviously if they're on your summer board, quality players. I haven't even heard of some of those guys. That's how many running backs there are in college football. Man, you just got to appreciate what you can do.
Well, I'll tell you this. I only added Daniel Highshaw Jr. out of Kansas like 2 days ago or yesterday because in case you didn't know, Bruce Feldman's freak list is out for 2025. Mm-hmm. Very exciting. And the numbers he had were just so insane. I had to add him. It was ridiculous. I had a couple of them. By the way, shout out, a Tulsa football player made Bruce Feldman's freak list. Braylon Presley, the running back, senior, he's on the freak list, number 89, and he is just awesome. He's an elite athlete. He deserves to be there.
I haven't read the full freaks list yet because, been grinding the running back tape, obviously. The only interaction I've had with it was using Control F to see where Jeremiah Love was. And Jeremiah Love wasn't anywhere on the list because he's had an injury. It wasn't a lingering injury, right? Just a camp injury, and his numbers aren't up to snuff. Jeremiah Smith is one of the 10 to 5-ish freakiest players in college football, so we'll talk about him later.
Jeremiah Smith is another guy. Who is also incredibly freaky. He's number 1 on the list. So, but yeah, Love would definitely be top 10 at the very least. Also, just to put Braylon Presley into context, he clocked 23 on the GPS according to Feldman.
Nice.
5'6", he's 5'6", 170, and back squats 585 pounds. Like this.
Oh, I'm really ashamed of myself after hearing that.
You should be. All right. He is awesome.
That is completely insane.
It's awesome that the program's getting exposure.
All right. Are we ready to go 10 to 6?
Let's do it. Well, first off, since we did watch quite a bit of running backs, let's do the obligatory honorable mentions, guys who didn't make the list but deserve a shout out.
I think I only have one guy that I'm like, I really, really wish I could have fit him in. I actually have 2, but I have a feeling we're probably going to be talking about one later. At number 11, I have Jamarion Jam Miller out of Alabama. Not a super high upside player. You know exactly what you're getting from him as far as vision. He's just going to crash into the line and lower the shoulder and drive the legs and dig out tough first downs. But the thing is, he's a good enough athlete to actually turn the corner on you. He doesn't fumble. He is just a job doer. He was an excellent lead blocker when they would run QB sweeps with Jalen Milroe, a good pass protector. He runs crisp routes. He doesn't drop the football. He's never going to be an RB1 in the NFL. That's not his projection at all. He might not even be an RB2, but he is going to be the most goddamn effective RB3 that you will ever see. So for that, love me some Jam Miller.
Dude, what? Do yourself a favor, turn on the Alabama tape, watch Jalen Milroe run QB power, because first of all, Jalen Milroe running QB power is a thing of beauty, and watch Jam Miller block for him, man. There's nobody who wants it more. He's putting guys on their ass. He's fun to watch. So yeah, I had 2 guys I wanted to mention. Trey Wisner was my number 11, just didn't quite make it. I don't think the upside's there, but he's a nice runner, relatively powerful for someone kind of small and a solid athlete, smart guy. Definitely think he'll find a home in the draft. And next year, I think he is a 2026 guy. Maybe he has another year of eligibility after this. I don't know, but not a guy I wanted to get in the top 10, but a guy I wanted to mention. And then Kanye Udo, Army running back, transferred to Arizona State this offseason to fill the Cam Scatabo size hole in the touches department, and they've got a lot of high hopes for him at the program. They like him a lot, and you watch the Army tape and you can see why. This guy's nasty. It's really tough for a running back to stand out in Army's offense, the triple option, but he really does. He's got great run blocking tape, of course. He's an Army running back, but he's just a really nice runner, and I'm fascinated. He's one of the guys that I have no clue how it's going to pan out this year, but I really want to see it because we could be talking about him decently high if he has a good season with Arizona State.
Going from Cam Scatabo to Kanye Udo is just absolutely insane. I mean, how are you going to fill the Cam Scatabo role in your offense? He's one of a kind. And I'm not saying that Udo's exactly that. I've only seen the highlight reel on him, but come on. Like that play style comparison, that's pretty nice.
It's pretty cool. All right.
I'll read off my 10 to 6 first. So at number 10, I have Mark Fletcher Jr. from Miami, backed up Damian Martinez last season, and now he's going to get the full starting workload. At number 9, this might not be super popular, but I have Mekhi Hughes, watched his tape at Tulane. Now he's transferred to Oregon. And at number 8, oh, Victor, you're not going to like this one. I've got Jadarian Price from Notre Dame.
Ooh.
I think I saw something that you didn't see. It could be a game difference, but we'll have a conversation about him. At number 7, I have Jaden Ott. Hopefully he can come back healthier next season than he was this season. And at number 6, a player who seems to be climbing up boards a little bit, Justice Haynes. He played at Alabama last season in that running back by committee with Jam Miller. Now he transferred to Michigan. Michigan's got a pretty decent history of putting running backs into the NFL. So I'm intrigued to see what he can do there as a full-time starter.
Nice list. We definitely have some differences. I did not watch Mark Fletcher. I'm glad you did because he was another guy I wanted to get to. So I'm excited to hear you talk about him. I did watch Jadarian Price, and he was the last guy out of all the guys I watched. So now we'll get to my feelings on Price because I don't think they're complete. So I'm going to trust your judgment more than mine. And then Justice Haynes, I forgot to mention him. He was on my honorable mentions as well. He was 12 behind Trey Wisner. So another guy we kind of disagree on. My 10 through 6, either way, is number 10. I have Le'Veon Moss, the Texas A&M back. Number 9, I have Jam Miller, the Alabama back. So similar range to you do, though I do think I see him differently. Number 8, I have Darius Taylor, the Minnesota back. Number 7, I have Mekhi Hughes out of Oregon. So we're there, buddy. We're there. Us against the world. And then number 6, I have the fat man himself, Katron Allen out of Penn State.
Okay, so we have a lot of differences, and I think this makes for the best content because I did watch Le'Veon Moss, and he was not super far down my list. He was number 13 for me. And then Fat Man, he was the player I mentioned earlier that I thought we'd talk about regardless. He is number 12 on my board right now.
Okay, yeah.
So who do we start with?
Yeah, that's tough. Oh God. Well, why don't you talk about Mark Fletcher? Because I didn't watch him and you have him 10.
Okay, I can take Mark Fletcher. He's not a super complicated eval. Doesn't have a ton of touches, so I was able to watch a pretty good percentage of what he did last year, backing up Damian Martinez. Just a really explosive, urgent change of pace back. High-end intensity, just literally jumping into contact at times. We're going to talk about another player later on who's just constantly jumping into contact. I didn't think Fletcher was completely out of control. You love the intensity box being checked. And what I saw that gives me some hope that he can grow into a legit NFL prospect, a guy who can maybe be more than an RB3 at the NFL level. I think he has a good information processor. I don't think he has good vision, but I think in here he just kind of gets it. He understands the flow of traffic. He sees guys coming out of his peripheral vision, and so he can put a move on them. He's able to kind of at the last second feel how the offensive line is shifting where he's not anticipating it, but he knows what's going on. He can tuck the ball and he can get skinny and he can slip through the crease. There are a lot of weaknesses, things that he needs to refine in his first season with a full workload. He's super impatient. I mean, I talked about the urgency. He's just going to careen into the line almost every single time, except when he bounces it outside inexplicably when there's a wide open hole in the middle. I think he was my worst vision grade. It was really, really frustrating. The reason that I have him on this list is I think he can develop in that regard. If he can't develop, he's not going to be an NFL running back. He also put the ball on the ground 3 times in 2024, and he shows the football to defenders a lot. Some guys, the fumbles feel kind of fluky. It just kind of happened to get punched out or ripped out. A guy really hit you with a good jab and just got the ball out. No, Mark Fletcher is pretty loose with it. You want to see him clean that up, and he's just not a polished receiving product right now. I think the traits are there. He made a really, really nice hands catch laying out for it in one game that I watched, but drops the football. Iffy in pass pro, he's fine, but doesn't run a route tree, negative career average depth of target. I think at the NFL level, he could grow into a change of pace RB2 who can probably give you some goal line utility. We're just going to have to see the vision come along with Mark Fletcher.
Yeah, sounds interesting. And yeah, you see a lot of that when you're watching guys who haven't taken many reps. You see a lot of, okay, well, I'm going to run straight into the pile until there's no pile, and then I'm going to run straight into the pile on the outside, right? It gets frustrating. But, with more reps, it comes along sometimes. So absolutely, there's a weird caucus of scouts who say vision is something that really can't be improved by much. And I just don't understand that because, have you watched these guys, not only these guys who struggle with vision come into the league and then vastly improve it, but then in college they do it too. You see it happen quite a bit. I do think there's some types of guys where it's like you can just tell their vision's not going to improve, but when a guy has very little reps, I'm inclined to believe you have more in the tank.
If you've had a lot of attempts behind different schemes where you've had the opportunity to find your fit and you just don't seem to be seeing it very fast, that's one thing, because then that gets into processing and reaction time. But just having more technically sound vision and operating with more patience, I totally think that that's coachable.
Oh, 100%.
All right. Did you watch any, or do you have anybody on your list that I didn't watch? I don't remember hearing anybody.
I don't believe so. I think I had, let's see. I had, oh, I don't, did you watch Darius Taylor?
I did.
You did? Where did, so are we going to talk about him later?
We'll talk about him later. Yep.
All right. All right. Great. We'll table that discussion then. Um, no, so I have three guys on the list that you have outside of your top 10, Katrin Allen, Le'Veon Moss, and Jam Miller.
Okay. So we kind of already had part of the Jam Miller conversation because he was an honorable mention. Why don't you tell me what you like about him, and then we can have a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah, so Jam Miller is really weird because I read quite a few scouting reports on him after I watched him, and I could not find a person who even slightly agreed with me on what his strengths and weaknesses were. Maybe I was watching the wrong tape. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know, but I thought he was more elusive than he was powerful. Like, this is a guy who is 6'2", 220, and yeah, he runs into the line a lot. And somehow I thought his power was actually below what I expected it to be, but his elusiveness was vastly better than what I expected to be. I thought he made his money off of half of the time. Yeah, he ran in the middle. Half of the time he read out the line well, found the area, and then got to either the second level or the level in one and a half level, right, where you're kind of on the line in between the hole, but you haven't penetrated it yet, and he's just making guys miss. He's got a jump cut. Now, his missed tackle force rate is like 16%, so it doesn't show. But against Tennessee, he made quite a few guys miss with a nice jump cut and a nice speed cut where he's just waiting until the last second to get their hips in the right position and then just turn and make the play. So I thought he was really good at that, and I thought he was a better athlete than I was expecting. I was expecting a guy's just mediocre athlete, big dude, can run in, make some power happen, and not the best vision, but he did impress me. I thought the vision absolutely, it's not great, but I saw flashes and a lot more flashes than I expected to see. And I do think it's something that can come along. Um, it's not even the vision that's the issue. I think he sees things fine. I think he sees the processor fine. It's just the tempo is really bad. He's a one speed runner, true and true. So he's just going to hit the guard's butt a lot of the time because he's just not tempo on his run. But I do think if we can improve that, then we've got something. Relatively elusive runner, a better athlete than I thought he would be, and he wasn't used much in the receiving game, but when he was, I liked what I saw. They lined him out.
Yep, definitely.
They lined him up outside a lot. Liked his hands. Hell, in a class that's full of a lot of guys who felt like underdeveloped route runners, he actually surprised me with his route running ability. It was solid. I saw him run a couple of Texas routes where I was like, there you go. That's something there. And as you said, he's a mean blocker. So I like Jam Miller. I think he's really got the potential as what looks to be the lead back in Alabama this year to break onto the scene. If he can improve that vision, some of the more complex parts of the manipulation of defenders at the line of scrimmage, I think we could have a good running back. Maybe maybe if everything goes well, he could venture into the day 2 conversation.
So Jam Miller, fourth year senior, not a guy who's played a ton each season. He's just always been out there playing special teams and getting jobs done on third downs and coming in garbage time. So he didn't use a redshirt season. Listed at 5'10", 218 is what I have him at right now. And when you look at his frame, I think that about checks out. He is a super dense runner. At that listed weight, I thought he was going to be a plotter, and he wasn't. I like that you mentioned the jump cut. I thought that he was pretty explosive. And I didn't think his elusiveness was bad, especially for a player that I see as very dive it right up the middle and find a way to move the chains. When he did get in space, I saw some ability to bend pursuit angles a little bit and set guys up to kind of brush them off, where you're not getting juked out of your shoes, but you're not getting completely overpowered either. And Miller is finding a way to get by you. But then again, I thought a lot of that was setting up a stiff arm or setting up a hard forward lean where you go crashing for 4 extra yards after making initial contact. So we view him a little bit differently, but I think probably very similar grades between us.
Yeah, definitely. And he's also kind of a frustrating watch because you are pretty big. Sometimes I do just want to see you lower the shoulder. And I felt like the power was slightly underwhelming, and there are just some times where he just misses a gap, and it's pretty brutal. Like LSU game, it had happened a few times in the LSU game. There was one time in the goal line, he just runs forward. The entire left side of the offensive line was pancaked. And it's just like, you had a touchdown, dog. And they didn't get the touchdown on that play. I think they might have gotten it on the drive overall, but you got to see that. He really suffers from tunnel vision, I think, is his just, I want to see if he can learn to see more of the field, slow down his runs. I think that's the biggest thing for him to work on this season.
For all of his faults, and even though I'm technically lower on him than consensus, still feels like a my guy. I really enjoy watching him.
Yeah, he's just fun to watch. Also, I haven't seen much of him on consensus because, I mean, he's like, I think he's like 150 on the consensus big board. He's not on NFL Draft Buzz, which are like the only two consensus things that I could find. So yeah, I don't know where he stands. It's tough. All right, who's next?
Are you ready to have the Jadarian Price fight?
Yeah, let's do it. I don't think it'll be a fight. I think I'm going to defer to you because I was rather enamored with another player when I was watching him. All right. So
you and me both, buddy.
Yeah. Why don't you take it away?
So Jadarian Price, 5'10", 195 is his listed weight. That is bullshit. That clearly has not been updated since his freshman year. Based on his frame, I have him at 215, 5'10 and a half was my estimate. Fourth year junior, his role in the Fighting Irish offense has increased every season. He's always been behind Jeremiah Love. That's not going to change this year. He's obviously going to play second fiddle to Jeremiah Love, who we will talk about much later in the show. What really popped to me about Jadarian Price, dude's got home run speed. If he gets a crease up the middle, I'm not saying he's gone every time. He's not even like a Byshal Tootin, but if he gets a big enough hole, you are not catching him from behind, and he hits the second level with a full head of steam all the time. 58% of his yardage in 2024 came from explosive plays. So that's 15 plus yard runs. That is a borderline absurd number. But he's not just a speed threat either. I actually think he's one of the more powerful backs in this class. I think he's very weight room strong. I saw him move the pile quite a few times. And when he does break into the second level, he's got wiggle. Like, has wiggle is a phrase I tend to use very specifically. I use it when running backs hit space and they have this left, right shake to their stride where it's really hard to pin down which way they're going. I saw that from Jadarian Price. I think he has a nice jab step juke move where, say, a edge defender, the end man on the line of scrimmage, is trying to contain him and is getting closer to him. And what he's got to do is he has to keep that man outside. So he's going to throw him a quick jab step just to get you to think for a second that he's going to bounce. And then he smoothly cuts it back upfield. And because he accelerates so quickly, now he's a threat. Now, vision's terrible. I'm going to say that about quite a few running backs in this year's class, and I don't think that's super surprising because these guys are young, and like the conversation we had before, vision tends to improve as you get more carries, especially for a player like Price who's never handled a full workload. He is infuriatingly bouncy, just inexplicable decisions that are really frustrating, and I don't think he processes things quickly. You get him playing behind pullers, and he's just kind of all over the place. I mean, one moment he's too hesitant, one moment he's stepping on his puller's ankles, and now that play's dead. He just needs a deeper bag of moves. You can also, I think, learn to be more elusive, where maybe you're going to break out a spin move, maybe you're going to break out a traditional heavy 1-2 juke to make guys miss in space. He's got to deepen his bag a little bit. He's a player, and we're going to get into another player like this in a couple of spots, that I am betting on to get better. And that's not where you want to make your money evaluating running backs, because it tends to be a little bit of a what you see is what you get position. But I really like the development track for Jadarian Price. And I think he's got traits that are going to put him in the conversation no matter how rough his vision is or isn't next season.
Okay, I've got a guy like this later on, so I get it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so really, this Jeremiah Love was the first back I watched, and I was like, oh, they have another guy there. And I'll be totally honest, I liked the freshman they had more than I like Jadarian Price.
Dude, the freshman white guy is good.
Nice. Yeah, he's nice, right?
His name down.
Neas Williams, which is weird because there was also Aeneas Williams. I think he's like a Hall of Famer in the league. But Aeneas Williams is nice. It's not a shot at Jadarian Price because I think we'll be saying Aeneas Williams' name in a year's time. Yeah, just the vision sucked. I had him pegged at 205 instead of 215. I didn't see as much of the power. I thought he was relatively high cut and went down real pretty easily. And the elusiveness was solid. I didn't think it was great, and I thought he was more of a solid athlete rather than a good one. So, and again, it could have just been I was kind of lazily watching him. I'm not going to put a lot onto this take, right? I didn't write him up. I was lazily watching him. So I would recommend you take Elson's word for this. That's just what I saw. But I listen, man. When you're watching Jeremiah Love, it's hard to watch somebody else. You know what I mean? So that's just what I saw. But again, I'm not going to trust my take on it. I'd say listen to Elson. Jadarian Price is somebody you want to bet on.
Price forced 27 missed tackles on 121 attempts. Not great. Not terrible.
Solid.
Again, I want to see him get better at that since so much of his yardage is just something's blocked up. I found a way to run through it, and now you're in serious trouble because I'm streaking up the sideline. So if he can just improve at the nuances of the position, which I think he's like a class of 2027 guy. I would be pretty shocked if he came out this year. That's when I think we're cooking with gas.
Yeah. But it is a nice room, though. Him, Aeneas Williams, and, of course, Jeremiah Love. It's a nice room.
It's a fantastic room.
Yeah,
yep.
Very nice. All right. What next? Do we want to do Le'Veon Moss?
Yeah, let's do Moss next. Why don't you lead it off on him since you're a little bit higher?
All right. So I think the Le'Veon Moss discussion is going to be pretty cut and dry. I think we're going to see him pretty similarly. I just had him a little bit higher because I'm guessing I just watched a little bit less guys than you do. He felt like the 12th best running back in this class, but I had him 10 just because I didn't get to as many guys. I think if I had gotten to all the guys I wanted, he would be lower. Le'Veon Moss is I think he's just a classic slasher. He is 6'1", 210. I had him pegged at 215, but 210 is fine. And yeah, he plays big. You know, he hits guys. He's kind of nasty stiff arm, a solid truck. And he's got like this kind of hezzy truck that he does where I'm like, I'm going to go this way and then I'm going to ram my body into you. It's very strange, but it works. And yeah, he ran a lot of zone at A&M, especially when he was on the field. They ran a lot of zone with him. They just said, all right, find the hole and cut. And that's what he did. He didn't find the hole often. I mean, he didn't find the hole great. So that is the issue with him, right? That's why I have him 10, because I think he's a good athlete who has a good power profile and a fine elusiveness profile. What's the issue? The vision's just not there. Plenty, and it's in a way that I just don't think it's ever gonna be there. I just think you know what you're getting with Le'Veon Moss. You're getting a rotational slasher who's just gonna have those plays where he's gonna find the hole, he's gonna cut, he's gonna run a dude over, and he's gonna get 10 yards. He also fell forward really well. I was really impressed by his contact balance. This guy who does not go down on first contact. He has good balance and good feet to pick them up. He can change directions relatively well. Thought he had solid agility. Like a really tough cutback lanes are going to be a problem for him, but they're a problem for most guys, right? I was impressed with his ability, and that's why I think he's a slasher. Just fits the definition. Come downfield, hit a dude, go down for a couple extra yards, and there's just going to be. I do that twice. I do that maybe 8 times a game, but then you give me another 5 carries, and I'm probably just going to hit the guard every time. It's kind of a frustrating watch. But I think that's just who Moss is. I think that's if you're going to take him, you're living with that. He's a guy who should be drafted, in my opinion. I think he's a guy who will get NFL snaps. I think you know what you're getting with Le'Veon Moss.
We view him virtually the exact same, except I think I'm a little bit lower on the athleticism, and that's why I see him as more of a practice squad to end of roster type slasher and not a rotational one. You hit on the vision well. It's rough. For a guy who runs as much outside zone as he does, I thought he was really inconsistent, just straight up cutting into traffic sometimes. And when they did run gap stuff, like when they came at you with pin and pull, he was just right on top of his pullers, and he would he would follow the pullers right into the pile, which I think when people hear follow your blockers, they think, well, you just run behind your blockers and they're snow plowers and they open up big creases for you and then you run into the end zone for touchdown. And the fact is, I mean, if that happens, that's awesome, but that's not usually how it goes. You have to find a way to spring off of your pullers. Sometimes the defense overcommits. You actually have to break away from your pullers and use them as a distraction and go the other way. I just didn't really see that with Le'Veon Moss. I saw a lot of trying to do exactly what was coached into the play design and not being able to create for himself. I don't think that he's elusive. And I think he's a really poor receiving back. I thought the pass protection was a disaster, 15.5% career drop rate. However, he does punch above his weight class. Really tough, weight room guy, pushes the pile, smashes through arm tackles. The goal line gets personal. He finds ways to move the ball past the first down marker or over the end zone line. There's a lot to like with Le'Veon Moss. It's just there are a lot of good running backs in the NFL. And that's why I'm not certain if he'll be able to hang on a 53-man roster. He's still a fun watch.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a fun guy. And I do think he will just because of the athleticism. And I think there is something there with his vision. I don't think it's all bad. I saw him find the cutback a couple of times. I saw him find the bounce out a couple of times, and I saw him find the right hole plenty. But yeah, like you said, I mean, let's just say he got very comfortable with Armaj Reed Adams, Chase Besantis. Like they're on more than a first name basis now. Right?
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, Le'Veon Moss is a fun watch, and he's probably a better college back than he is an NFL back, but I do think he'll find a way to stick on a roster.
Okay, is it time for Mekhi Hughes or Katron Allen?
Yeah, let's talk about Hughes because we're both considerably lower on him than consensus. I think he's the consensus number 2 back, unless I'm mistaken.
I have him as he's definitely not consensus number 2.
Really?
I have him with a consensus 3rd to a 4th, which puts him right now behind Love, Singleton, Coleman, and now Haynes, who's been climbing up the board. So he's in that RB5, RB6 rank, but quite a ways ahead of a lot of, I think, more explosive options.
Yeah, and well, you hit the nail on the head right there. I think the issue with why he's being portrayed as this top 5, top 3 back in this class is there's just not enough people who have gotten around to the tape yet, right? You see the numbers. It just jumps off the page, right? 1,300 yards in both his true freshman and sophomore year. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's just unheard of stuff. And this guy is just the workhorse at a really solid program in Tulane. Like, it is a G5 school, but this is one of the best G5 schools in the country. They're playing real competition, and he's still doing it, right? So that is impressive, and nobody can take that away from him. And if he does that at Oregon, because he transferred to Oregon, he's Tulane for his first 2 years. Now he's at Oregon for his true junior year. If he can get close to that level of production at Oregon, I think something will have changed with him. But right now, it's more of just a guy. This is a guy who's I think somebody had him like 200, and I was like, that's bullshit. I think 210, 215. But he makes his name on power, and he's really good at it. He just comes downfield and he hits guys, right? Got great contact balance. He's great at lowering the shoulder. It's just really nice to watch. I mean, these American Conference defenders are just not ready for this level of runner. He's also got really excellent vision. He's just a great slasher, but he can do everything. But he's a great slasher. So that's what Hughes is. If he was a better athlete, I think he'd earn that praise. He's not. He's a fine to solid athlete, and I think that's what that does him in. He's just never going to be that guy to pull away. All right, he's never going to be that guy to make somebody miss in the open field a bunch. I think he's really similar to Katron Allen. If Katron Allen was 15 pounds lighter and the slightest bit more athletic.
I think Hughes is quick in short areas. I think he's got a nice shuffle step to evade backfield traffic, and he's super, super urgent as well. That's becoming a theme. I noticed a lot of that in this year's draft class. Guys that just want to stick a foot in the ground and dig out those tough yards. Hughes is tough as nails. You see it in everything that he does. You do not just push this guy out of bounds. I saw some defenders make that mistake. Do not make that mistake. You put Mekhi Hughes on the ground or he's going to stay in. He's going to chuck you out of bounds and he's going to keep going. He also has one of the more interesting player quirks that I've ever seen, which is that he holds the ball high and tight, like hilariously high and tight. He has 0 career fumbles, which is obviously a huge asset, but I wonder if it slows him down because something else really pronounced that I noticed is his drop off from his acceleration gear. Because the way I look at it, you have kind of that first step explosion, and then you have the second and third step burst, and then you start accelerating to your top speed. And good backs, they just start flying at that phase where the pad level comes up and they just become sprinters. And with Mekhi Hughes, it's like after 10 yards, that's just as fast as he gets. And so he initially accelerates away from linebackers, and then 10 yards later, dude's getting tracked down by guys who run like a 4.7. And that's why I'm so low on Mekhi Hughes, because the NFL, particularly front offices, the ones that make drafting decisions, don't tend to like running backs with really limited upside. And I think that Mekhi Hughes' upside is so limited just because he's never going to break off more than the 25-yarder in the NFL unless everything is absolutely perfect. I also thought that once he did break through the line where his vision was pretty good, you talked about him being a slasher. He's just going to stick the blinders on and he's going to run straight. He's going to try and run through the safety. I didn't think he had a big bag of elusive moves to consistently make guys miss. And he struggled to generate missed tackles against Oklahoma and Florida, which were by far the 2 toughest defense that he went up against. It's going to be fascinating to see if he can fill Jordan James's shoes at Oregon because they play pretty similarly. But I know he's got the production. He was very, very good at Tulane. The tape left me wanting a little bit more. And if he can prove it at Oregon, that's going to be awesome. But that's why I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah, I am pretty, well, like you said, I'm skeptical about the move to the Big Ten. Now, to be clear, I'm not skeptical about his ability to take the Big Ten toughness. I'm skeptical about the Big Ten's ability to take Mekhi Hughes' toughness. All right. Like, I don't know, man. This guy's bringing it, right? I know the plays you were talking about. He was throwing guys around. He's ready to fight guys on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? This is a fun player to watch, but it's just one where I that's a good call. I do think he is relatively similar to Jordan James. If Jordan James was about 10 pounds heavier and had that strength, right? I think Hughes is a better player than James was. And I like that you pointed out his like how he kind of turns the blinders on sometimes, because I think he sees things really well. He's got great vision at the first level at the line, but when you get to the second level, he's just not very creative. He's going to do the job, but he's not going to get real fun in space. He's not going to get those extra yards, which you really, really need to get when you're a guy of this caliber of athlete, which I don't think he's a bad athlete. I think he's an okay to solid athlete, but if you're an okay to solid athlete in the American Conference, I worry that maybe I just pegged it wrong. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of the upper echelon of what his athleticism could be. What if he's just average to below average? Then we're starting to get into the territory of a Jordan James, right? Where Jordan James went in the 5th round. I just don't know about Hughes. I really want him to work out because, like I said, he's such a fun guy to watch. He's such a fun guy to root for. I think he will be good for Oregon, especially with that offensive line in front of him. We've talked about them in the offensive line episodes that we've done. Of course, one of them didn't upload, but the other one did. So go watch the interior offensive line episode to hear our thoughts on a couple of Oregon linemen. But yeah, I think this is a case of people see the production. They see he's at a big-time school now. He must be really good. We haven't watched the tape yet. It's summer. Why would we watch the tape? And I totally get that. Do not take our example. This is not a healthy thing to do.
Absolutely not. Don't be like us.
Don't do it. You can hear us talk about it, right? We can be the ones slaving away behind the computers. You get this for free. It's amazing. It's also, you know, and I'm not going to act like this is some amazing service we're providing, but
it is.
We're not the smartest guys on the block, right? We're not, right? But I do think this is a guy whose stock will probably drop over the season. But once it does, we can really just appreciate the player that he is and not get carried away with other stuff, because he's a really good player and a really fun player, and he's an NFL player, and I have no doubt about that.
Good to know I'm not insane for that little take. Now, you want to talk about a player we disagree on, Justice Haynes out of Michigan?
Yeah, why don't you lead him off because you're significantly higher.
I can take it away on Haynes. His listed height and weight is 5'10, 210 pounds. He's headed into his third year of college ball. He was a committee back at Alabama for his first 2 seasons, played more as a sophomore than he did as a true freshman. Since then, he's transferred to Michigan, where he's slated to be a pretty clear first stringer. And the eval on him isn't easy because the carry load is so spread out game to game. I think I wound up watching like 5 games on the Alabama backfield just because,
Yeah.
I mean, what, they're getting 10 touches? I want to see more than that on a game to game basis. So, what I really liked, no wasted movement with Justice Haynes. We've talked about how backs that haven't carried the football a ton tend to be really bouncy and just make inexplicable decisions sometimes. I did not see that. I saw a very fast processor where he understands how blocks are setting up. He understands what the linebackers are doing, and he finds ways to make you wrong. Once he gets to the second level, I thought he was super efficient to stick a foot in the ground and bend runs up the sideline, but also find a cutback lane and run against the grain and make the way you're flowing wrong. He was just a really tough guy to pin down. Violent truck move. I think the truck move is the most glorious move in football because everybody loves to pull it out in Madden and you're knocking the guy on his ass. You're running right through him. It's easy. You don't have to do much. Just you get to the goal line in Madden, you push that joystick forward and you're living good. People don't realize how uncommon a really dominant truck move actually is beyond the high school level. And Justice Haynes has one. It is violent. He is going to put you into the ground and then he's not going to fall forward over you. He is going to stay up and he's going to keep going. I saw a little bit of side to side shake, not a ton, but enough for me to think that when you pair that with his, I think, pretty solid athleticism, I'll get into that in a minute. He has starting NFL running back upside, maybe quality starting NFL running back upside. It's just a matter of seeing that over full workload and getting a little bit more consistent. The biggest question I have for Justice Haynes is just how fast is he? Because he has an 85-yard touchdown on record, but to gauge top speed, you kind of want to see more than one rep because you want comparisons and you want to get an idea for how quickly they stride and just their running style. You start to get a good feel for it once you see him hit that top speed 3, 4, 5 times. He really only has one career big breakaway, and there's some conflicting signals about how fast he actually is. And I don't know if this is a guy that NFL front offices are going to look at him and say, his ceiling is limited. We're going to take him in the 6th round to be our short yardage banger, and that's going to be all. He's not laterally explosive. You don't want to plug him into a zone offense, but man gap system where he can just be urgent and intelligent and body up linebackers and attack the sidelines and use those skills that I think he has. I think he could be a really good running back. And he's kind of a take that I have. He's kind of a my guy. It feels like he's flying a little bit under the radar and people are starting to come around on him now. It's fascinating to me to see how he's going to do at Michigan.
Yeah, I feel a little bit bad now because I just don't really agree.
Fair enough.
I mean, I do agree on a lot of it. It's just I think I just a little bit worse. I mean, I agree on a lot of it. I just really struggle to see him, not even as a starting back, but like I struggle to see him as the first member of a rotation, or even as like a guy who's tied because I just how I don't really see a winning trait from him, and that's really the biggest thing from him. I think his vision's good. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's elite. I think he saw the line really well. I think he really doesn't miss gaps. It's very impressive. But when it came to the more complex stuff like tempo, I didn't see a lot of that from him. When it came to really setting up linebackers from behind the line of scrimmage, I didn't see as much of that from him as I like to have seen. He has 103 collegiate carries. That's probably the reason. All right. This is not a guy who's played a lot of college football. And his vision is so much better than a guy who has 103 carries should be. So I'm perfectly willing to believe that it's going to be really good. I just can't say that's an elite trait yet because I just want to see it happen more often. I want to see you bounce around outside when it's there. I want to see you be more creative overall as well. And with the power stuff, I think the flashes were there. There was one play where he just collided with a guy and the guy just fell to the ground. I mean, he bounced off of him. You know the power you have to create to have a guy bounce back. They collided at helmet to helmet, and he bounced off of him. That is a ridiculous amount of power. So clearly this guy has the strength. I just saw him go down a lot at first contact. So I'm like, it's rather inconsistent, and that's my concern there. I don't think he was very elusive. I think he's an okay athlete, really below average for his size. I think he's probably 208, something like that. So I don't know. I struggle to see him as anything more than a complimentary back in the league. I do think that the vision can get him there. I think the impressive power profile for his size can get him there. But a guy who is on the smaller side of things, and he's not a great athlete, he's not a super elusive dude, he's not a most creative guy, I struggle to see how he can be a super productive back in the league.
And I do lend a lot of weight to your opinion on this, particularly because I watched him like 2 months ago. I watched the Alabama running backs right at the start, and I've just gotten better at evaluating players since then because, I mean, that's what happens when you've watched like 120 guys in the last 2 months. The comparisons start to become easier. You pick up on things you didn't see before. So I might go back and watch a little bit more Justice Haynes because it seems like a lot of the people who have watched the tape haven't really seen it with him. Maybe I just miss some.
Hey, man, don't distrust yourself. Justice Haynes is awesome. You got to believe that. And it's, I don't want to have him as my running back number 12 because I enjoyed watching his tape. I thought he's a good player, and it's just kind of a tough one to do because he only has 103 carries. So he's going to look completely different next year. I just don't know how different. So we're just going to have to see. This is one that definitely a wait and see guy. He's not your usual wait and see guy because there's a lot of wait and see guys who just, they're athletes who haven't really developed yet. We want to see if they can develop. Haynes is a guy who is relatively developed for his snap count, but due to some other limitations, how far can that development go is the question with Justice Haynes.
And that's exactly what I want to see as well.
All right.
Okay, now Katron Allen.
Yeah, the fat man. That's
Take it
what
away.
they call him. And yeah, it's an earned nickname. You got this guy's
well, that's hurtful.
Size. No, hold on. He's not fat, to be clear.
No.
This is a big man. What do you have his listed size at?
Oh, so he wasn't in my top 10, so I don't have him in my notes, and I don't keep their listed size on my doc. I keep the estimated size. I thought they had him at like 215. I have him estimated at 226.
So 215 is ridiculous. I have him at 5'11", 230, and that's on the lower side of things. This guy's fucking big, and he is powerful. You talk about a truck move, I'll tell you Katron Allen's got one. I mean, he just floors guys. If it's a one-on-one with a linebacker in the gap, I do not want to be that linebacker. It's just really impressive. Some of the best power in this class. Where did I have him ranked as far as power? So yeah, he does have the number one power, overall power. So he is the number 2 overall power back, and he is the number 1 pure power rating for running back skills. My overall power takes into account a lot of things. It takes into account contact balance, power, a little bit of vision, and ball security as well. So he was number 2 there, behind a guy we'll talk about much later. But either way, this is, and that is kind of his game, right? Allen is just a powerful running back who, what is really going to be the evaluation for most guys is just how far do you think his athleticism can take him? I personally liked it quite a bit for what I'd heard. And that's just going to be probably the difference between us. I thought that he had slightly above average burst coming out of the line. I thought that first step was nice, and I thought that acceleration was solid. The top speed's not good. I'll lend you that. And I don't think he's this nuts lateral mover, but I did see him make guys miss with elusiveness at a higher clip than I really expected him to. And that's because he has a great understanding of how defenders are moving in open space. Like, we talk about a lot of these power guys, slashers, bigger dudes, and we often talk about them, and then we have to add, but once he gets to the second level, he's probably just going to find a guy and hit him. He's not very creative. Katron Allen's a really creative runner. not only at the first level, but at the second level. He makes a lot of his own yards. I mean, when Notre Dame was kicking their ass up front, he was still making plays. He was an impressive back for them. So I like that a lot. This is just you're never going to bring him down on first contact. And by some miracle, you do bring him down. It's after he's run for like 7 yards after contact. It's a beauty to behold. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that he's one of the best, if not the best processor in this class. Just sees everything in front of him extremely well. There's just not a missed hole or gap on the tape that I saw. I mean, I'm sure there was one, but there's just not many. He's a creative player, sees things really well, powerful guy who I thought had quite a bit of short area athleticism, enough to kick him up. Now, I don't know where he lands because it's like, could he be a starter or is he just going to be a rotational power back? That's where I'm going to land on him. I don't know where he's going to be, and we're just going to see on that. And another thing, if he does not improve his pass protection and overall pass game prowess, then that is going to be significant ding. As a power back who's not the best athlete, you do need to be able to catch the football out of the backfield and pass block. So really big thing for him to improve. He's also a fifth-year senior, so he's got less improving to do than most guys do. But I'm curious to hear your take on him.
It's not the athleticism that we
Really?
disagree on. I was impressed. I thought from what I had heard, I was going to be watching a plodding running back, and Katron Allen is not a plotter. I think that he's got nice bursts, like you touched on, and I think his footwork for a back his size is super impressive because, yeah, you covered it. He will kill you with power. Going high on him is not an option. He will just roll the shoulder over and throw you directly into the ground. I saw so many free safeties try and go up and rip him down by the shoulder pad. It's, oh no, don't do that. Just try going
Get out of the
low
way,
on
dog.
him. And
You're
I'll
not getting
get
paid
into
enough.
that in a moment, but nasty stiff arm, nasty truck move. He will drive the pile. He will fall forward. But man, his elusiveness impressed me. For a dude his size, his understanding of leverage and pursuit angles to just be really deceptive with his body language and veil his intentions, and then hit you with one of the weirdest looking hard cut moves that I have ever seen to make you miss. It's kind of a miracle to watch. The way that Katron Allen cuts looks different from everybody else in this class because it's kind of like in Madden, where with the Madden 25 movement, it's kind of awkward sometimes. You take the handoff, and then it's like if you push left, right, where it's these weird, super sharp, but very slow cuts. And that's kind of my issue with him, is I don't think the agility translates to the next level. He really likes to bounce runs outside, and I thought he did it successfully quite often. I don't think that's an option that he will have in the NFL. I think that he is so laterally slow, even if he has good footwork where he's maximizing his change of direction, he's just going to get caught consistently if he tries that. I was less impressed with his between the tackles vision than you were. I saw some missing gaps as they developed and plowing directly into the guard center, double team type of stuff, which when you're fat, man, and when you're 225, 230 pounds, yeah, you can kind of just run through the guard center double team. Like that's going to be fine. At worst, you're going to fall forward and you're going to dig out a tough first down. But again, at the NFL level, as a power back who needs to move the chains, you got to pick the right gap damn near every time. And I'm a little bit concerned about his ability to do that. I don't think he's going to develop as a pass catcher because he's had a lot of reps. He's actually on the field for more passing downs than I was really expecting. I just don't think he has the athletic tools, and I didn't really see the flashes. And so ultimately, what I view him as is an extremely role specific power back where I love the way that he plays football. But I think last year's draft kind of showed us something. Damian Martinez lasted till the 7th round. Kyle Monangai lasted to the 7th round. These power backs just aren't super valued, and it feels like they should be more valued. But part of what I'm doing is trying to project how guys will be perceived about 6 months from now. And so that's what concerns me about Katron Allen. I love the football player. He was probably in a really entertaining running back class, one of the top 3 most fun guys to watch. And so I appreciate that. Obviously, a guy that you root for. It's just the upside for me. Only 2 career rushes more than 40 yards. They came in 2022 and 2023.
Yeah, no, I saw. So I think we saw the same things. I really attribute it, and this was his biggest weakness for me. I didn't attribute that as him missing gaps. I attributed it to as the same, like you said, I don't think he has the agility to make that play, and I think he knows that. I'm not going to go for that gap. Because, I mean, I saw him try it a couple times, and he was like, yeah, that's not my game, man. And he knows his game, and all right, I know I can get 5 yards out of this because I'm stronger than this 330-pound defensive tackle, right? So I'm just going to run through him. And then that is a massive weakness. When there is a hole in the backside cut, the backside cut's there, and you just can't take it. It's not that you don't see it, it's that you can't take it. That's a big issue, right? But I'm willing to forgive some of it because unlike the Monunguys and the Martinez's of the world, I think he is a step up as a linear athlete and maybe even and probably 2 steps up from Monungai. By the way, Kyle Monungai, awesome stuff coming out of training camp. Sounds like this guy is shitting all over my boy Roschon Johnson. He sounds like he's the RB2 in Chicago, which I'll never stop believing in Roschon Johnson. I don't know why it hasn't worked out yet. But
Roschon's not bad. When he's on the field, he's fine. It's just Kyle Monungai is always going to be the most prepared guy on the team. He's Kyle Monungai.
But Roschon Johnson was Kyle Monungai coming out of his class, just better, right? So it's like you can't get your swag stolen by yourself. You know, they obviously have differences, but you can't do that, man. And I said that he's the RB2. I'm not, honest to God, I'm not sure who's the RB1 there. Do you know?
In Chicago? Yeah. I know it's not DeAndre Swift. Who is still there somehow. I am shocked that DeAndre Swift is still a Chicago Bear.
I guess he's the RB.
Still on the team. I mean, you just kind of assumed when Ben Johnson came over, who literally ran DeAndre Swift out of Detroit, that DeAndre Swift was going to cease to be on the Bears. And he's still there. Maybe they're going to drop some receiving stuff for him.
You know what this means? Kyle Monungai RB1 season. Let's go. We're here. 250 carries, 250 yards, 250 touchdowns. What's up, baby?
I would go to a Bears game to watch Kyle Monungai be the starting running back.
That would be awesome. But I do think Allen's got to step up on those guys. He really impressed me with his burst to get through gaps. And ultimately, I think that he has a winning trait and a really powerful winning trait in his power. And that's just something that not many, it's so good that I think it's something that really will make, it's good for the NFL level. It's not just good for the college level. It's really good for the NFL level. I think that's what will make him stand out. I think that's what will do him well in the NFL. Again, I don't think he's ever going to be the superstar, but like I said, how good is that agility? This is a guy who I actually want to see testing numbers from. You know, this is a guy I might put in some stock in the shuttle, in the L drill. How much are we seeing with that? What are those numbers? Because generally you don't want to put stock in that, but this time it actually matters. So Allen's an interesting evaluation because he's also not being asked to do as much as another running back would because there's another guy in that backfield who is he's really interesting, and I'm guessing we're going to talk about him later. So he's not being asked to do as much as another guy because you have this ultra talent in the backfield as well. So he wasn't asked to do as much, especially in the pass game, because the other guy was a very good pass catcher, right? So he's a weird evaluation, but no matter what, no matter how you come away on him, you're going to come away. That was a fun watch at the very least.
And one thing's for sure, he is going to have a goal line role in the NFL.
Oh yeah. He could be the next the Vulture. He could be the next Vulture, I think.
Is the Vulture a guy? Like, is that an NFL player or just the archetype?
It's the idea of a guy.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. The guy you hate in fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. There have been vultures. I mean, like Mike Allstott was a vulture in his day. Jerome Bettis was even a vulture. He's a Hall of Famer. I think Allstott's also a Hall of Famer. He's a vulture. There was another Pittsburgh back who pissed me off because I had Le'Veon Bell in fantasy, and they would just give it to him. I was like, "Fuck you, dude." Taysom Hill's a vulture. Alvin Kamara had 6 touchdowns in the game, and Taysom Hill, I believe, still vultured a touchdown in that game. I also have Alvin Kamara in fantasy. I hated Taysom Hill. I tell you that much. It's more of an idea, but Katron Allen could be that Jonathan Stewart. If you had D'Angelo Williams in fantasy, you hated Jonathan Stewart. He was also a Pro Bowler, but who cares? It's a concept. It's a state of mind. And I think Katron Allen could be the next in a long line of players. Does this mean Katron Allen's going to be a Hall of Famer? Yes.
Yes.
So, right. At the very worst, you move him to fullback and he'd be awesome. Because was he the best pass blocker? No. Was he a great run blocker? Yes. So, because there were a couple times where Singleton got the ball and Katrin Allen was the lead blocker. And you're like, oh boy, this is a fullback at the very least.
Pony personnel in that backfield.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to be fun to watch 2025. All right. So is that everyone in our 6 to 10 range?
Is it? Let's see. Yes.
Oh, I have one guy left. I have Jaden Knott, who I imagine we talk about after this.
Yes, and I have Darius Taylor left, who you said we will talk about after this as well. So we're going to the top 5.
My number 5 running back is Darius Taylor.
All right. Yeah, he was my number 8. You want me to go with my 5? We're going to do this.
Yeah.
All right. So first off, before I say my 5, I have to issue an apology to you, Elson. There's a chance I may have told you this guy was not worth watching. And that is because I made probably the dumbest mistake anybody's made in the 21st century, except for the guy who designed the AirPods. That was really stupid. Like, I mean, come on, man. What are we doing?
Never used them.
They're awful. Just, you can buy cheap knockoffs and they're better than AirPods. That's all I do. Yeah, so my number 5 is CJ Baxter out of Texas. And I definitely...
You did, in fact, tell me that he was not worth watching.
I definitely told you he wasn't worth watching, and I can't explain. All right, so when you texted me, I was like halfway through my first game of Baxter and Wisner, or what I thought was Baxter and Wisner. I was watching 2024 tape. I didn't know Baxter was injured all of 2024. I was 100% sure that CJ Baxter was number 26. And when you're watching all 22, you can't see the names on the back of the jersey. So I thought CJ Baxter was Trey Wisner for like a good 10 minutes. And I thought Trey Wisner was Jaden Blue. Because I just forgot Jaden Blue existed. So that's why I said neither of them were worth watching, because Jaden Blue was hardly worth watching last year's class. And Trey Wisner, not that he wasn't worth watching, but he was my number 11 back. It's just like, if you had other guys you wanted to get to, I don't think he's a guy you should go out of your way for. Then I realized my mistake, and I was like, okay, so that's Trey Wisner. What I think about CJ Baxter is Trey Wisner. And then I hated Jaden Blue even more than I hated him in last year's class, apparently. So CJ Baxter only played his true freshman year before getting a season-ending injury in his sophomore year. So you didn't watch him. I have him as my number 5, and that is going to be my fault. But he's also a guy that's really interesting. So yeah, do we want to do the 5s, or do we want to reveal the 4s and leave the top 3 for later?
So we can reveal the 4, but man, you were really hurtful about CJ Baxter. I mean, you texted me that you shouldn't call him CJ Baxter, and then he shouldn't even be a college running back. Might not even start on a good varsity team. Should go back to middle school. I mean, yikes.
I remember saying that.
No wonder I didn't watch him.
This is accurate. I did say all of that. I mean, I know he did run for like 5,000 yards in high school. That doesn't matter to me. Who cares, right?
Could have done the same thing.
That was my bad. Absolutely. You know, Jaden Blue could have done the same thing. It's not that hard. So that's my bad. But hopefully my my talk of CJ Baxter will make you feel a little bit better. Maybe I will illustrate his ability so well that you'll feel like you watched him yourself.
Okay, so should we do Darius Taylor, or do you want to do Baxter since I didn't watch him?
Do we want to do 4s first?
Yeah, so my 4 is a guy you didn't watch, and that's Bryson Washington from Baylor.
Oh, damn, I really wanted to watch him. All right, I'm excited to hear you talk about him. My 4 is going to be, make sure I have this right. Yes, my 4 is going to be Jaden Knott out of Oklahoma. It was really close. I wanted to put him higher. I just couldn't. Yeah, let's talk about... Let's do Darius Taylor. Why don't you take him away?
Okay, so listed at 6 foot 215. He's heading into his true junior season, 4-star recruit. He was a rotational back in year 1. And what really stands out with Darius Taylor, what you notice immediately, borderline the first snap you watch of him, elite patience, just no wasted movement with this running back. And I saw premium scheme versatility. Whatever you want to run, Darius Taylor can run it. He can do all variety of zone, inside, wide, split zone, not a problem. Pin and pull, if you want to run duo, He does just fine on toss plays. So he has that scheme versatility where anybody who wants a backup running back with a little bit of upside is going to be able to call his name in the fourth, fifth, third. We'll see how high he goes, whichever round, because he's not going to be crossed off of anybody's board. I thought his power was really unique because he's not the stockiest running back. I think he's smaller than 215, particularly his lower half stood out to me. It's just not being huge. So when guys get him in their arms, oftentimes tacklers are able to throw him on the ground. They're able to stall him out, drive him backward. However, when he catches tacklers off guard, which he does 2-3 times a game, it is fireworks. He has a nasty shoulder charge truck move where he is just ambushing unexpected defenders. And he has this unique contact balance style where, for running back that I think is pretty tall and kind of a high cut sort of player, his contortion ability to get a hand on the ground or angle his body in such a way that he's able to spin out of tackles really impressed me. And finally, as a overall receiving back, he has everything except for the high end athleticism, outstanding technique and pass protection. I thought he was by far the best pass blocker that I watched. He's going to take guys on with no fear, but he's not going to be overly aggressive either and let them slip past with an arm over. He's going to dig the heels in. He's going to get lower than them, keep them square, and then fire those hands inside. And he's looking to drive blitzing linebackers back. I think he's got nice routes as well. He can run an option route at a high level. He did some good stuff coming out of the backfield on out and ups, that sort of deal, wheel routes. So he's a back that theoretically can play all three downs. He's just not very fast on breakaway carries. You're going to catch him from behind just about every time at the NFL level. And now we're back with another running back to the upside conversation, which is so frustrating to me. And I just don't think he's very explosive. He's a soft cutter where he's super patient and his footwork is great. And if there's a hole that's open somewhere, he's going to find a way to get to it. But when those windows start to get smaller at the NFL level, because now you're competing against edge rushers that run 4-5 and freaks on the interior, that space is going to collapse quicker. It's going to be harder for him to bounce stuff outside, which I think he did at the best rate of anybody in this class, where he's not bouncing it outside when it's blocked up, but when there's nothing on the interior, he's smooth working to the outside. You take that card away from him, I think Darius Taylor's profile gets a lot weaker, and he's just kind of like a high, how do I want to phrase that? Editing Victor here. He just plays with a very high pad level where the moment he initiates contact, he's basically upright. And when you're not a huge player, you're just going to go backwards. Touched on that earlier. So he doesn't bring that third down, find a way to run a guy over and dig out the tough first type of profile. I think he could be a starter. He gives me some Devin Neal vibes and the vision, the limited athleticism, and how sneaky good he is in the receiving game. But tragically, we saw that the NFL didn't value Devin Neal very highly. So I may be a little bit lower on him than consensus, but he was a very, very easy, satisfying watch.
Allison, you know it's too soon to bring up Devin Neal.
I'm sorry. Yep.
You know it's too soon,
I
man.
knew it.
I mean, broke my heart. Yeah, I agree with most of what you said. I don't think there's much to add. I just don't think there's much to add. There's one thing that I wanted to add that I completely disagree with you on it. It's the smallest thing ever. I think he's a horrible option route runner.
I know a play you're referring to.
Yes, okay, but there was multiple plays.
On that.
There was multiple plays. Okay, it happened multiple times in the same game. We'll see. There's zero chance Editing Victor is going to be able to find this play that we're both talking about. But basically, what happened was Darius Taylor ran an option route. So he sees it's man coverage and he curls, but then he realizes, oh, it's man coverage. I got to run the out. And then Brosmer throws it to the curl and just right to the defender. And that was the first play I watched of him too. So I felt so bad.
Oh no.
So I was like, it happens. But then I kind of saw him do that little hitch on the option route a few times. And if you do it once, I'll forgive you. You do it twice, you do it 4 times, we've got a problem. But it's the smallest thing, doesn't factor in. I still think he's a solid route runner. He's one of the best hands catchers in this class, and he's an elite pass blocker. I think he can be a true satellite in the league. I really do. With Taylor, I don't really have much to add. I think I think you take everything we said about Mekhi Hughes, you put him in Minnesota, you downtick his athleticism by about 5%, and you give him that receiving ability, and you get Darius Taylor. And I gave Hughes the edge because he did play at Tulane. I do think he's got the potential to be better than Taylor, but with what we talked about Hughes was, I don't know if you're going to be able to be that productive at the next level. I think there's just going to be games where you're playing better teams and they're just going to be able to stop you. And that's unfortunately what we saw with Darius Taylor. I do feel bad because the only games he had less than 50 yards were the only games I had all 22 on. So I didn't get to see his best performances. So I apologize. I tried to watch the highlights to make up for it. I apologize to you, Darius Tayller. So I'm not familiar with the highest end of your game, but like I really don't have much to add. He's a good football player who was limited by his athleticism. We'll see.
I watched some of the broadcast film of his really high level games. In fact, I think that was the first game I watched. So we had a little bit different of a first impression. And that probably did some of the heavy lifting on the differences we see between them.
But it's not a massive difference because, I mean, I have him in the same tier as I have Mekhi Hughes and Katrin Allen.
All right. Now, do you want to take CJ Baxter since I didn't watch him, and then we'll get into Jaden Ott?
Yeah. So CJ Baxter is a guy who only has true freshman tape available. That makes him one of the most unique watches in this class. And immediately what jumps out to you, it's not the athleticism, it's not the frame, which is there. It's not the contact balance, it's the vision. And it shocked me. I was expecting, all right, this is a guy who's really highly recruited at a high school. He plays for Texas. He played his freshman year. He's going to be an awesome athlete who just doesn't see things really well. That's why everybody has him as like the 10th best running back. Yeah, you could improve. It's just I don't know how much you will. He is, I mean, he's not the best processor. He doesn't have the best vision, but for a true freshman, damn, it was impressive. Like he was seeing things that, I mean, I just didn't expect him to see. He found the cutback. Well, he actually he didn't find the cutback all that much. But there were a few times where he found the cutback. I was really impressed. But he was just able to see stuff before it opened up. You know what I mean? And he kind of has this ability. He's this gliding ability, behind the line of scrimmage where he sees the hole and he just floats to it and he finds it and he's able to get there. He's so patient for a true freshman. He does not play at one speed. He's got first, second, third, and fourth gear. All of it. It's really, really awesome to watch from a true freshman. And I don't think he's an elite athlete, but I think he's a pretty damn good one. No complaints there. I think he's got really good burst to get through the line. He absolutely has the lateral agility to make guys miss. He absolutely has the ability to make that cutback. It's not that he sees it and he can't make it. He can. It's just I don't think he's seeing it all the time. Of course, the vision's not perfect. I think I had it graded out as a B minus. It was just really good for a true freshman. And I wanted to note that. So I think there's so much to work on here. I think we've got so much room for improvement. Like the vision, it will get better. I truly believe that. There's just some times where, yeah, I ran into the wrong hole. I didn't cut it out when I should have. I didn't cut it in when I should have. I didn't set up the linebacker. He's still learning how to set up the linebacker. He's still learning, like he's got patience, but he's still learning tempo, right? So he's still learning all that, but he was a true freshman when I watched him. So I'm seeing you try it. I'm seeing you get better as I watch you. That's really impressive. And then, I don't want to talk for too long, but he's a really solid receiver. He made like a really nice one-handed catch. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if he used to be a receiver, but he wasn't his true running back all throughout his life. Really nice after the catch. There are some running backs who just catch the ball and don't really know what to do. They can't immediately go into running back mode. Baxter has no issue with that. I saw the bones of a solid pass blocker, and I saw a guy who, man, he's got all the tools to be a good power player. Good contact balance, just period. Good contact balance, not great, but good. Good elusiveness, not great, but good. There is so much to improve on here. This is my bet. All right. This is my bet. Right. If you drafted him right now, I don't think he'd be that high, but there is so much to work with here. We've seen so much already. I have to think that it's going to get a lot better. And even if it doesn't, I do think that he's already a solid player. So Baxter is a guy who, assuming the injuries don't fuck with him, because he had a pretty bad torn knee ligament, Like, this is something that could bother him. So assuming he's fully healthy, I think he's going to take the world by storm in his junior year. And this is a guy who we seriously could be talking about as an early day 2 running back. Whether it's this next year, whether it's next draft or the year after that, because he's going to be a redshirt sophomore this year. Because he started his true freshman year. He's actually the first guy to start week 1 at Texas. First true freshman to start week 1 at Texas since Ricky Williams. So that's cool. But we're going to see his redshirt sophomore year this year. I think he's going to take the world by storm. I really do. And even if he doesn't, you've still got plenty more years to improve. So I'm count me in as a Baxter fan, a believer. I'm willing to plant my flag that it's going to happen. Originally, I had him below Allen and Mekhi Hughes, but I was like, what kind of world do we live in? This is summer scouting. This is where you get to take risks. I'm going to put him in my top 5.
At the beginning of the pod, we talked about how running back tape is just some of the quickest to watch. Thank God for that, because I'm going to go back right after the episode and just flip on some of that 2023 Texas tape and get a look at CJ Baxter. I would have watched him for the episode, but you told me that he was one of the worst running backs you ever watched and that he didn't have a chance in the NFL. So outside of that, I think we're doing great so far. Oh, and just by the way, I know this matters to nobody but me. Real name is Cedric. I don't know why I always want to know what the real name of guys that have prominent nicknames is, but I have an archive of like 100 of them up in here.
It's important though, because what if you meet a casual and then you don't know his real name? Like, how are you going to flex on him that you know more ball than he does?
I'm a big fan of Eugene Marcus Hilton, personally. He's one of my all-time favorites.
Exactly. Mine too. I know who that is.
Excellent.
Yeah, I know who that is. By the way,
I believe you.
I'm a Baxter believer. I'm excited to hear what you think about him. Next poll.
All right, so I mentioned moving on to Jaden Ott. Should I just do Bryson Washington instead, my number 4, who you didn't watch?
I'm excited.
All right, so Bryson Washington, Baylor's lead back for just about all last season, listed at 6 foot, 215, and he is a third-year sophomore, redshirted his first year, just wasn't on the field a ton that season. It wasn't injury related or anything like that. And the first thing you notice with Bryson Washington, he has NFL caliber burst. It pops right off the tape, and he is urgent as all hell. We talked about this with a couple of running backs like Mark Fletcher. I think that Bryson Washington is kind of like Mark Fletcher dialed up to maybe ×2, because Washington is just flying into contact. I think my second biggest knock that I have on him is you got to dial it down a little bit, because when you are leaving your feet all the time to try and drop your shoulder into linebackers' face masks, it just kind of opens up bad things happening, and it decreases your contact balance. So now you're just falling forward instead of putting a hand in the ground and finding a way to keep on going. So I want to see him refine his mode of operation a little bit, but it's not just the burst. It is also the power. He has a really advanced frame for a player headed into year 3, and he is a frustratingly upright runner. That's another big weakness I have on him. It don't matter. Just safeties fly down into the box and try and crush him, and they just fall dead to the ground, out of the play, goodbye. His ability to create power without getting low at all is borderline shocking. Bryson Washington is doing everything wrong. I saw him do like a kick spin off of one guy where he had one leg flying through the air like it was a karate move. That shouldn't work. You shouldn't have broken that tackle and gotten up and kept going. He has so much that he can refine, and I think he's just scratching the surface. But what really sells me on him, he played his best ball right at the end of last year. So I think he did miss the first 2 weeks with an injury, I believe, and they kind of eased him back in. Texas Tech, 11 carries, 123 yards. That's week 8. Oklahoma State, a little bit of a down game by his standards, 17 totes for 78. TCU, 26 for 196. West Virginia, 18 for 123. Houston, 29 for 113. Kansas, which is one of the games that I watched in full, 28 for 192 and 2 touchdowns. In just that streak, he put up 11 of his 12 scores. He is getting better in real time, and I don't know why he's not getting more buzz, because he checks the size box, he checks the athleticism box, he checks the development track box. He just has to get a little bit better at playing with better pacing. I think he flashes some patience, but doesn't have the carries. I wanted to get more consistent at reducing his profile and not just being so absolutely insane smashing into the line of scrimmage. And he's also just an atrociously bad pass blocker. I think he has receiving traits. I think his hands are fine, but he has absolutely no idea what he's doing. He is maybe the biggest bet that I have made throughout this entire summer scouting series. But if his upside hits, he could go in the first round.
Yeah, I really want to watch him. He was like my next guy up that I couldn't get to. I'm disappointed I didn't get to. That sounds like a fun player. You know what I'm gonna do? Whenever we do quarterbacks and I go to watch Sawyer Robertson, I'm gonna watch Bryson Washington too. That's what I'm gonna do.
Awesome.
All right.
And you're going to tell
be
me
fun.
sucks, and you're going to have him as RB15.
Useless piece of shit. Worse than Jadarian. Just gonna offend you the entire time. All
So
right.
that's Bryson Washington, developmental bet. Not one of the best running backs right now on this list, but super excited to see if he carries that 2024 momentum into the next season.
All right. Who's next?
Jaden Ott.
Okay, you had him 7, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, Elson, what I'm going to ask you to do might be tough. I'm going to, all that tape you watched in 2024, burn it. Just
oh, no problem. I only watched one game of 2024.
Forget it. It wasn't even necessary to watch. All right. That tape does not need to be worried about. The only thing you need to worry about that tape is the fact that he was dealing with injuries all throughout the year, durability concerns. And for a smaller back, I do have that written down as a concern. He was just injured throughout the entire year, and you could tell. In 2023, I watched 3 games in 2023. I watched 1 game in 2024. So you could really tell that Cal has one of the worst offensive lines in the country. And the difference, it's so awful. And really why Ott wasn't nearly as productive in 2024, nearly as good, is because he just was injured. So he couldn't do the miraculous things he was doing to avoid whatever was happening in 2023. So if you're watching Jaden Ott, you're like, man, this guy sucks. Watch 2023. And he didn't suck in 24. It's just he was clearly playing through an injury. Burn the tape. Forget about it. We don't need to worry about it because 2023, true sophomore Jaden Ott. Oh my God. I don't say this lightly. I don't like to go with hyperboles, especially for stuff like this. He was a true sophomore in this year. Jaden Ott may have the best vision I have ever seen from a college NFL running back. And I know that's a lofty claim, and I know you might disagree with me, but holy fuck, is it good? First, am I insane for saying that?
I won't say you're insane because I see some of it, but I will say his vision on my board does grade out in the C range.
I'm just going to flat out
that
disagree.
Differently.
So I'm just going to flat out disagree. It is some of the best I have ever seen. He is seeing things 3 seconds before they happen. It borders on like clairvoyant stuff. I mean, he's hitting these holes, but it's not even like it's I feel like it's evolution that this happened. It's like in his freshman year, Cal was just trying to get him killed. So he's like, well, I guess if there's going to be the smallest little hole, I've got to see it 3 seconds in advance. And that's what happened. Literally anytime there was a smidgen, the smallest gap for him to run through, he found it. And I think maybe the difference with us in vision is just because of how horrid Cal's offensive line is. It just made it so difficult to tell what even was that play. I mean, I saw one guy literally just run into Jaden Ott because he pulled the wrong way. Like, this was just not a well-functioning offensive line, all right? So that could cause difference, but he was just seeing things at another level. He's a smaller back. They ran mostly gap there, so he's maneuvering around pullers, like I talked about with Baxter. He glides on the line of scrimmage to just find the place and just slide in and just be there, and he works really well in zone 2. It's just ridiculous. He's setting up linebackers. He's setting up safeties. I mean, he sees the first, second, third level. He understands tempo. He understands how to make guys miss. He understands angles better than anybody. He cuts at the exact right time. He is, when he's going into a cutback lane, this is something CJ Baxter really struggled with. He could see the cutback lane, but when you see the cutback lane, you have to hard commit to the outside and then cut it back at the last second. That's something Jaden Knott was excellent at. He was incredible at it. So that's my spiel on it. That's just going to be where we differ, and I'm okay with that. I'm not going to yield slightly. I know what I saw. I'm making the take, and I'm putting myself out there. All right. So listen. Normally, I will absolutely take your opinion. Of course, I will still take it on this one. I'm gonna stand strong. All right.
That's
I think
completely
his vision's
fair
elite.
for you to dig into that take.
All
And
right.
I do think that you watched more tape on Jaden Knott than I did. I also watched more 2023 film, but I might have only done 2 2023 games on Jaden Knott. I wound up in a little bit of a time crunch on him, and his vision didn't pop nearly as much to me. I didn't love him behind pin and pull. I saw some moments in space where I thought he read out a lead blocking correctly and shuffled to the wrong side of it and found contact that he wouldn't have otherwise found. For me, why I have Jaden Knott in the top 10, he's extremely explosive.
Yes.
That is what I noticed quickly. I mean, when he does find that crease in his own concept, he arrives at the second level with a full head of steam, and he catches linebackers off guard with how quickly he reaches landmarks. And then he has the speed to keep running away from guys. We've covered a couple of running backs who are very good accelerators and can get the 5 and 10 yard chunks, but then guys catch up. Guys don't catch up to Jaden Knott. I don't think he's the fastest running back I've ever watched or anything like that, but let me check my board real quick. Does he have the highest speed grade of anybody?
Really?
He has tied for the second highest speed grade with two of the only remaining players we have not talked about. So pretty high praise there. Jeremiah Love and Nick Singleton, I graded out as similar athletes to Jaden Knott. He has no doubt about it home run ability. He's also a really good kick returner for that reason. I thought that he has one of those nice subtle jab jukes that I talked about earlier, where you give a quick fake to the outside and then you explode upfield because now the end man on the line of scrimmage or the linebacker trying to contain you is frozen. Maybe that's something you counted more toward his vision, because I think that he anticipates stuff. I think that the flashes are there. He flashes a really, really nice spin move to make guys miss. I think he's a steady receiving presence as well. The problem is twofold to me. I think he has the worst power of anybody that I watched, and I'm barely factoring his 2024 tape into that, where in 2024 he had the lowest yards after contact of any qualified running back in the country by about half a yard at 1.9. It was truly absurdly low. That's a number you throw out because that is 100% the injury doing the talking. I just thought that in a phone booth, he was going backward more early than not, or more often than not. And one box that most running backs check that I didn't see from him was the ability to break arm tackles. I really thought he got mucked up around the line of scrimmage. Now, how much of that is California's absolutely god-awful offensive line? I think it's the worst offensive line that I have the displeasure of watching throughout this entire summer scouting series. And I'm trying to factor that in as best I can. But NFL defenders are going to make arm tackles on you. You got to be able to run through them. And the other thing is, I just don't think he's a very high-end missed tackle forcer. It is truly just flashes. And let me see if the numbers back me up on this real quick.
He's got a
I thought he had
25% missed tackle force rate
in his
20
prime season.
in his first 2 years, true freshman and true sophomore year total.
What
And
was
it
his
was
rate?
25%, which is the third highest of anybody I had, only behind Jeremiah Love and Jonah Coleman.
Okay, so here's the thing I don't understand about missed tackle forced rates. When I've heard other people talk about it, my understanding was that closer to like a 0.4 is that really high end to elite mark. And I haven't encountered a whole lot of running backs that are in that 0.4 region.
There's nobody in
So,
this class.
oh yeah, there is. There are a couple
I
of
mean,
guys I
no, but
saw
even
that I think had 0.4 plus, weren't there?
so okay. I didn't see this stat. I'm sure it's on PFF. I couldn't find it. What I did was but everybody I watched, I took their missed tackle forced on run plays and I divided by their carries, and that's what I have there. So this is their missed tackles forced per carries and on the season. That's what my number is. I just couldn't find the missed tackle force percentage.
It doesn't exist. It's not a
Yeah.
stat that they provide to the public.
Yeah, so that's this. I created the stat myself, so that's what it is. Jaden Knott is third in this class of the guys I watched. Maybe Bryson Washington's higher. I don't know. I know Terrian Stewart was high. I don't think he was higher than number one, which is Jonah Coleman at 35%, which
Okay.
ridiculous. Jonah Coleman's number one. Number two is Jeremiah Love at 26%. That's how big of a. We'll get to him.
That's good to know. Maybe I need to watch more 2023 Jaden Knott tape. For me, I saw a guy with a really, really impressive straight line speed and some decent instincts. Even in that breakout season, I wanted to see a little bit more for him. So I'll go back, do some work on that evaluation, and see if I see something different moving forward.
Yeah, so I agree with some of those things. I actually think his speed's a little bit worse than you said. But pound for pound, some of the best bursts in the country. It's also he's no slouch. Absolutely has home run speed. I just don't think it's like really great or anything. I think he was tied for third. So the only two guys were above were guys who were higher on my board. Or no. Am I tweaking? Where were the other two guys? Yeah, the only two guys are higher on my board. Yeah, so with vision is kind of weird because in my board, I just kind of clump everything that's like mental processing, the mental side of the running game into vision, and I just make it worth a whole bunch. It's not really vision. As a whole, he is the best mental running back by far. I also think his vision is elite and incredible, to be clear. So we're just going to disagree on that, and that's okay. I think it's incredible because he's seeing stuff nobody is, and he's making plays, setting up linebackers, and he's processing the line at another level. I've said my piece on it. Watch the tape for yourself and make your own opinion. It will probably come somewhere between the two of us. I didn't get carried away. I'm right on this. I'm right on this. That's the one thing I'll say. It also, there's a slight chance it's the Oklahoma bias because he is now in Oklahoma. So I want him to be good. There's the slightest chance. I'm not saying it's what's happening. I'm just saying the slightest chance. But okay, why do I want to get to the point that you made. Why do I have this guy who's maybe the best vision I've ever watched as a true sophomore with really great athleticism? He's just going to go down on first contact. That's just what's going to happen. He's going to get through the arm tackles. Also, yeah, Cal's offensive line was so bad. You want to know why I love Jay Toya so much? It was because I watched the first game I watched was against Cal. And oh my God, is he a grown man? Like these guys stood no chance. Jay Toya was throwing them around. And I mean that quite literally. He literally threw the center and he had hang time for more than a second. And I was dumbfounded. And he's just, you're watching a 340-pound man just throw this guy aside and then engulf Jaden Knott because he is a smaller guy. He doesn't have a power profile. I saw him lower the shoulder. I did see him get some push, but yeah, the contact balance is fine. It's not great, and he's just going to go down at first contact. Where I disagree, though, I think he's very elusive. I think he's got one of the best jump cuts in this class. He has the best speed cut in this class, apart from Jeremiah Love. When he got to that second level, I just feel like nobody could get a hand on him. It was just so difficult for anybody to find him. And there were so many guys clustered around. He was just making them miss. When he caught the ball in open space, he went right to running back mode, and guys just didn't stand a chance. This guy didn't get a chance in open space as much as I would have liked. He's also a really great pass catcher who was just hardly used. When he got used, great hands, a great route runner. Pass blocking is not great. That's to be expected. He's a smaller guy. But the will was there. He was going after it. He like the classic Bob Green, Montana Tech head coach, saying
his attitude's positive. He thinks he could take on hell with a squirt gun.
He'd take on hell with a squirt gun. He really would in pass blocking. And Jay Toya, he took on hell in human form, Jay Toya, as a 210-pound man. And yeah, he got obliterated, but he tried. Most running backs would have run away. I would have. He didn't. So got to give credit where, but I do think the power profile will slightly limit him. I just think you're getting an awesome football player. And I'm willing to forsake some of the power stuff, but that is why he missed the top 3 for me.
If you convince me that he has maybe not all time, but just quite high-end vision, which, I mean, you're basically there, he goes up at least a full round grade on my board, and I'm viewing him in an entirely different light. So I'm definitely going to get back and watch a third Cal game because I don't want to be wrong about this.
And like I said, it's not just the vision, it's the processor, it's the tempo, it's the patience. The patience. It's all of that stuff combined into one. That's just the catch-all that I put into the model, right? Because I can only put in so many things without it getting too ugh. So yeah. But that may be my take of the running back class. Him and Baxter, my 4 and 5 are really. I'm going to bat for them. It is really weird that they're on opposite sides of the Red River. You would not expect me to go to bat for a Texas running back, but I am. That should tell you how much I believe in Baxter too.
All right, so we've covered everybody who is not in our top 3. Let's be real. We know who our number 1 is. I'm wondering, do we have 2 and 3 in the same order?
I think yes. I think we do. Who's your number 3?
I think we don't. My number 3 is Nick Singleton.
Damn it. We do have it in the right order. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, baby. What's up? Okay, we've had enough difference where we can celebrate that we saw these guys the same way. Okay,
that's fantastic.
We've had enough difference, and I'll tell you, it wasn't close. I mean, it was sort of close, but not that close. Yeah, I have. So I have. We both have the same top 3: Nick Singleton, number 3; Jonah Coleman, number 2; and Jeremiah Love, number 1.
All right, so I can intro Nick Singleton, Penn State running back, in the same committee as Kaytron Allen. He obviously gets a little bit more of the diverse pass catching work, listed at 6 foot, 224, fourth-year senior. He was dominant as a freshman in 2022. I mean, one of the best true freshman running backs of the past decade. 2023 was not quite as good. And I think he dealt with some injury stuff because his yards after contact also fell off there. And that tends to be a pretty big injury tell. If you're a guy who likes to bring violence into contact and that just disappears, your mentality probably didn't change. You probably didn't check out. There's probably something going on in the lower half where you're not trusting your ability to take on contact. And then he was better in 2024, but maybe still not at the same level as his 2022 season. And that's one of my issues with Nick Singleton. I think there's some what you see is what you get, and the deficiencies that you see are what you get going on with him. But there is a lot to like. The top speed and the burst really pop. He is a slasher through and through. He wants to hit the second level, and he wants to run beyond it. I also think that he's disproportionately strong for his build. He doesn't look 224 to me. Now, tall, muscular players can be kind of deceptive because muscle is heavier per capita than fat is. And so you can look lean, but still be very heavy and play very big if you are very strong, which I think that Nick Singleton is. But he does a good job getting low for a taller back. There are times where his pad level is borderline 90 degrees, and he is just using that weight room strength to churn the legs and dig out yards after contact. I thought he flashed some patience behind gap blocking. I wasn't a big fan of his vision. And as a receiving back, probably number 2 or number 3 on this list. I thought he had legit matchup flexibility where you can stick him in the slot and you can let him beat less athletic linebackers. Very good hands, can bring the ball in over the shoulder. And he's an all-conference kick returner as well. The problem with Nick Singleton is you're fast, you're strong. What exactly is it else that you do here? And I don't know how that translates to the NFL level. I know he's going to be able to play. I know he's going to be an effective change of pace back because he has home run hitting ability, and I think his vision is fine, but he's just not a missed tackle creator. And I mean, that shows up on his grading profile. His missed tackle rate is down there, and he actually grades out for PFF substantially worse than Kaytron Allen because they really like missed tackles. PFF never values the straight line athleticism guys very highly, and that is Nick Singleton through and through. I saw poor anticipation. I thought he would get cracked when a linebacker, a safety, would come from his peripheral vision, and he just wouldn't see him in time. And against low tacklers, just not much that he could do. I was unimpressed by the overall contact balance to break things off and extend 10-yard gains into 20, 30, 40-yard gains, which I know he can do athletically. I'm excited for Singleton. I think he has a really high theoretical upside. It's just I have a hard time imagining him reaching that at the NFL level.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you said it very well with him. Like he's that mold of guy where it's like, yeah, man, I mean, he's got the upside. we've seen enough to this point where I'm not gonna say that he'll never hit it, but I just doubt he's gonna hit that. But before I get into some of the negatives, let me read off some of the positives. And some of the positives are really positive. Now, Bruce Feldman, obviously, released his freak list. Nick Singleton was number 19 on it. Let me read you some numbers. So these are official numbers from the team. He is 6'1", 228. That is his official size.
Oh my God! Wow.
Like, holy fuck, but it gets better. He runs a 4.35 40, a 4.18 shuttle, squats 655, and cleans 395. Yeah, and all of that is, you can see it on the field too. He's squatting more than 55 on the field, like 325. That's not math. 330 guys come at him. He shrugs them off. No, he doesn't do that. But I mean, that's just unheard of stuff. Like, you just don't see it. I think he clocked in at like 23.5 miles an hour on the GPS as well. Ridiculous stuff. And where his positives come in, I was expecting his vision to be a little bit worse. And it wasn't great. I think his vision is solid to good. I think his processor is just really slow. I don't think he ever I didn't see him hit the wrong gap very often, and it was mostly because he was just deathly afraid of hitting the wrong gap. So he would take his time, and he's just not very decisive. He's just taking his time. Okay, I see this gap. It's like you said, he's not a good anticipator. It's like the quarterback who will never throw the ball until the receiver's been open for a minute. And guess what? In college, even, those holes are only open for a second. So if you take a second to see it, you go for it, it closes up in an instant. And that's even more pronounced in the NFL. You've got half a second to find it unless you're playing for the Eagles. All right? Unless you're playing for the Eagles or the Falcons or the Lions, you've got half a second to find that hole and go through it. Now, Singleton can make up for some of this because he is just a freak athlete. Best linear athlete in the class. He's just able to find that hole and go if he can find it. And when he did find it early, I loved what I saw, obviously. It was just great. It was poetry in motion, right? I liked his context balance, I think, a fair bit more than you did. I really did see him fight through the arm tackles. I thought he was really adept at getting his feet back and ready at shoestring tackles, which is something I value quite a bit because there's going to be a lot of times where linebackers are coming down and they go to the ground and they try to get you with your shoes, and Singleton didn't let him. I was impressed by that. Flashes of elite power, but it wasn't all put together. But like you said, I mean, I think he'd be a great prospect if he was just more elusive, and he's just not. He just doesn't make guys miss, and that's kind of the key. I mean, what do I have him at? Yeah, I have him at 19% missed tackle forced rate in 2024. That is the second lowest of anybody behind Jam Miller, and he's tied with Justice Haynes and Mekhi Hughes at that number. So that's just not good. And we've seen that number a lot these past 3 years, and he's played a whole bunch of college football. So if you're just not learning how to be more elusive, if you haven't improved the vision nearly enough, I do think the vision has improved. From 2022 to 2024, you can see it improve, okay? And I thought one thing that actually did impress me, I thought he found the cutback lane relatively well. I thought he exploited that pretty well. I mean, we saw Notre Dame kind of overcommit to the outside run because he's just so electric there, and we saw other teams do that as well. SMU did that a lot, and he took advantage of it, and he was able to find the cutback lane and get big yards. So I want to note that it's not all bad. But if it hasn't come along by now, at Penn State, an elite program with elite coaches, I just find it hard to believe that it's going to make some big strides in the NFL. So that's why I think he, like you said, he has the theoretical upside, but I don't know if he's ever going to hit that. His floor is an electric change of pace back, kind of similar to Chase Brown's rookie year, if you remember that. He got better in his sophomore year, and I think he's going to be a good player for Cincinnati this year, his third year. But his rookie year, he was really just, I got speed for days. And of course, Singleton adds the aspect of I'm also 230. So that's kind of ridiculous. But we'll see if he can improve it. If he can, ceiling's unlimited. But realistically, I do think he's a starter. I do think he improves it enough. I think we have enough there that he is a starter in the league. How good of a starter, how reliable of a starter, I don't know. It was enough where I was willing to put him over a guy like Ott, whose power limits his ceiling, but it wasn't enough that I was able to put him over Jonah Coleman, a guy who we'll talk about in a second.
And I also just think he can be a legit receiving weapon for
Yes.
you. I mean, it was in that Oregon game where he absolutely cooked Jeffrey Bassa into, I don't know what route you would call that, because it wasn't a Texas route per se. It had
Circle.
sort of a different rounded stem to it. Sure, a circle route.
He ran it a lot.
And it's like, oh, now I understand why Marcus Whitman thought you were the worst linebacker of all time, Jeffrey Bassa. Solid player, but those were not the reps to watch if you want NFL tape out of him. Really good receiver.
Yeah, I mean, because like people will say, oh, well, that's the athlete you're going to be playing in the NFL. Nick Singleton is one of those guys. There's not a Nick Singleton. There's like one or two guys in the NFL who match Singleton's athleticism. This is not a guy who's a great college athlete. This is a guy who's an elite athlete, period, no matter what sport he's playing. This guy's just a freak.
All right, number 2, Jonah Coleman. Do you want to start it off on him?
Yeah, so I watched Coleman pretty late into the process. He was my second to last guy I watched. And at this point, I had kind of given up. So Singleton was still my number 2 back. And I was like, God, I don't like him as my number 2, but it just looks like he's going to be the number 2 guy for me. Because I had heard Coleman was kind of a high floor, low upside kind of guy. So I thought he was just going to slide in around 5 or 6, similar to a Darius Taylor. That was wrong. Because Jonah Coleman, 5'9", 229. That's pretty crazy. And yeah, it shows. You remember how I said, oh, who did I say? Remember how I said Katrin Allen, the number 2 power guy in the class? That's because Jonah Coleman's the number 1 power guy. This guy's awesome, man. I don't understand how you don't like football if you don't like Jonah Coleman, man. I don't think I saw him go down on first contact once. Did you? Maybe one or
I mean, I'm sure it happened.
Yeah.
But it's not part of his game. He is going to make life hell on you to get him down.
If the NFL is rigged, he's going to have it in his contract that you can't tackle him on the first play. So, and it's elite power as far as a truck move that just demoralizes linebackers. Stiff arms that are unheard of. And it's more than that too. It's an unusual truck move because he's 230, but he's also 5'9". So he's just going to get lower than you. I think some people put height as a negative, and it can be a negative sometimes, but I think it also has a lot of positive aspects because there's not many 230 guys that can fit through small holes, like squirm through these small holes like Jonah Coleman can. There's not many running backs who can do it, and I think his height plays a big factor in that because these 6'3" defensive linemen, they're reaching their arms out for the arm tackle. I hit nothing because Jonah Coleman's short, but he's big. He's a bowling ball, and we use that word a lot. It is accurate for Jonah Coleman. He's bouncing guys off, and he's literally sending linebackers to the sky because he's getting the shoulder under. And he's leverage, man. This is leverage. He's the perfect example of it. So that is his biggest strength, of which he has many. He also just has awesome vision. He's an awesome processor, elite tempo guy, good patience. I'll say good. And that's no slight. Good is a hard thing to do, especially for patience. It's a really tough thing for college running backs to learn. But compared to the other traits that he has, it's not like on the same level. Okay, well, surely he's like a bad athlete. No, I mean, he's more explosive than most 210 guys are. Do I think he's the best athlete of all time? No. But I do think he's a really good one. He just explodes through the line, man. He really does. That first step is lethal. The burst and acceleration are nice. I don't think his top speed's anything special. I'd peg him around like high 4.4s, maybe 4.5, 4.51, somewhere around that. And you see him get caught. He didn't have many super long runs. But that's okay because I'll be honest. I don't think that you have to be this guy who breaks off long runs to be an elite NFL player. And here's where I'm about to get really irresponsible. As I said before, I don't like pro comps, and I really don't like pro comping guys to guys who are really good NFL players. But when I'm watching Jonah Coleman, I swear to God, I'm watching mini Josh Jacobs. I swear to
I love
God.
it.
And because I just feels wrong to comp a college player to Josh Jacobs. He's not Josh Jacobs. I think he could be. And it's not like, oh, yeah, theoretically he could be. No, I think he's more likely to be Josh Jacobs than he is to never be a starter in the league. And I mean a true starter, number one option. I think he's that good. So I'll let you talk about him for a while, fill in some of the gaps, but I'm a massive Jonah Coleman fan, and this is a guy who just doesn't really have too many weaknesses.
You touched on the strength, the power profile for him. I see the same thing. If you're not squaring him up, you are not getting him down. It just doesn't work. He's too big. He's too powerful. He's too light on his feet. He is clawing for extra yards every single snap. One thing that's fun when you watch these guys back to back to back is you notice the little nuances between each running back and how they do things a little bit differently. Like, let's talk about stiff arms. Katron Allen's stiff arm is unique because he's just straight up slapping you in the head. I have written in my notes, every stiff arm feels personal. It's like, it's not really supposed to extend the rush by that much. Just wants to hurt your feelings. Mekhi Hughes has kind of this quick, good utility stiff arm where he's putting it out there fast and it's sort of a whipping motion and he uses it to make sure that he gets the first down or into the end zone. It's more so to clear away a dive tackler's hands. Jonah Coleman's stiff arm is just putting his hand into your chest and mashing you into the ground, and then he's going to keep going. It is so rare to see a stiff arm that consistently produces broken tackles, not tackles that are 4 yards downfield extra because you didn't get a very good angle on him and he kind of carried you, but actual, you're on the ground, he's streaking up the sidelines, broken tackles, and Jonah Coleman has that in his bag. His power is not my favorite part of his profile. I thought his vision was the best in this class by a pretty wide margin. You talked about how he's not always the most patient. I think he sacrifices maybe 10% patience for 200% movement efficiency. If there is a crease, he is getting through it immediately. He's got a really nice jump cut when things aren't blocked up for him immediately and he has to redirect in the backfield. He is super intelligent behind pullers where he can run in behind him or he can branch off of his pullers because the defense overcommitted that way. I thought that his zone blocking processing was really high level where he's reading out the leverage of the defensive line, then he's carrying his eyes to the linebackers and he's making everybody wrong without any wasted movement. And just to add to this excellent, hyper reliable, you know exactly what you're getting type of profile, he's never fumbled in his entire career.
Yeah.
One more box checked. Now, I'm lower on his athleticism than you are. I think he's going to get caught from behind in the NFL just about every time.
I agree.
I don't think he's terribly twitchy because I don't think he has this super high end redirectionary, make you miss lateral explosiveness. I think his burst is good. It was refreshing to watch after I was watching some slower running backs. And that's why I am comfortable with him as my number 2 back, because I think you can be a Pro Bowl starter or better with his athletic profile. Outside of that, I was really working hard to find weaknesses on Jonah Coleman. I mean, there are times where I wish he got a little bit deeper into his skill move bag, if you will, to make the safety miss instead of kind of just lowering the shoulder and trying to run over him and allowing the safety to go low and get him down. It's like, I know you're a good enough college athlete to hit the guy with a hard juke move and run by him. So it's kind of the same thing I saw with Travion Henderson. That's a nitpick. One thing that he's really bad at, and I hate that this is how I'm ending my report on Coleman, he's one of the worst route runners that I've ever seen. Like, he's just a zero in that phase, and he's not that bad of an athlete. You see him in the jump cut. Clearly, he just doesn't know how to run routes. He's iffy in pass protection. He's got the size. I think you can coach that up. I think he can be a 3-down NFL running back. It's just something he's going to have to learn. He was probably, outside of my number 1 running back, your number 1 running back, my favorite player to watch in this class because I love good vision. I love power, and he's got both.
So, yeah, he's the second best vision in this class for me. But it was close, man. I watched Coleman after I watched Dot, and I was like, okay, obviously nobody's touching Jaden Ott. He got there. Like, he got close, man. Ott's an A+. Coleman's an A. So yeah, Coleman's just so fun. And like you said, his route running's not great. However, I will say he did play 2 years at Arizona. I don't know who the wide receiver coach is there. They just can't teach guys how to run routes. I don't know what it is. Jacob Cowling wasn't great at it coming out 2 years ago. And then Ted McMillan, my big concern with him coming out this year was like, oh, I just didn't love your route running capabilities. Like, I don't know why it isn't there because you have all the capabilities. I've seen you do it sometimes. Just doesn't look like the technique's all the way polished. Watch him in camp right now. He's frying guys. He looks amazing. And this is Carolina. It's not like they have the best coaches in the world. So I'm like, who is running that program? No shade, obviously, meant towards the Arizona receiver coaches. They're smarter at football than I ever will be. But come on, guys, let's get it up a little bit. So maybe he sees the improvement. Also, something that kind of cools my nerves a little bit on that, he has elite hands. I think 1 drop in 3 years or something like that.
Focus drops are not part of his game.
Yeah, he doesn't drop the football, and it's so comfortable. Like I said, he catches the ball, and then he goes straight to running mode, too. So it's really entertaining to watch, and I love that you pointed out the vision, because I think I talked about it. I don't think I did it enough justice, and you did a great job talking about it. So, yeah, I had 3 weaknesses. It was the mediocre route running and the slightly disappointing pass protection. I want him to work on that because I think you can work on it to become a better third down player. And if we remember, took Josh Jacobs a while to learn how to do that too. Who said that? What? I mean, no. I mean, who would compare a college player to Josh Jacobs? That's just irresponsible. The second weakness I had, he's played a lot of football and he's had some minor injuries, but he's still not missed very many games. And yeah, all that football has clearly made him an awesome player. And then it was just like, yeah, I don't think he has I think he is good, not great lateral ability. And I don't think he has like a great home run speed. I do think he has the elusiveness. I just didn't see it. But man, that missed tackle rate, 9% above anybody else in this class that I saw. Still lower than Ashton Genty's, by the way.
Well, obviously.
I mean, yeah, like holy fuck. Genty's 101, but he was awesome. 35%, and it's like all power. It's just crazy. So Coleman, I think he's a first round running back. I really do. And I know that maybe I do. I think he is because I can see the Josh Jacobs in him and I can see him getting there. And I know it's insane, but I think he will get there at least to 90%, 95% of Josh Jacobs. And that is at least a Pro Bowler because Josh Jacobs is an awesome football player.
I'm not quite there with the first round level evaluation on Jonah Coleman, but I think we're going to finish out this list with a player we can definitely agree is a first round talent, and that is Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. Can I open it up on him just for a minute?
Do it. I want to hear it.
All right. So 6 foot, 214, going into his third year of college ball. He's not going to see a fourth. No way. He's part of next year's class. I think his vision kind of sucks. He's super bounce happy. He gets tunnel vision at the second level. The strengths are just literally everything else.
I don't care.
He's an obscene athlete. Hell, you can make a case he should have been number 1 on the Feldman Freaks list if he was fully healthy this offseason. Now I'll hand it off to you.
Oh, you don't have to hand it off to me. You were on a roll. Keep going. I want to hear more about him. I loved this guy.
All right, so the reason that Jeremiah Love was obviously going to be RB1 for me, like before I had watched any official tape on him, he just moves different. And that's the exact same thing I said watching Jeremiah Smith for the first time. Something about the way he runs and the way he's able to start and stop is just not normal. And then you pair that with really high-end instincts. Even if the vision is not good, the instincts and the peripheral vision is why I think it can get there at the NFL level. He did so many things that no other running back in this class can do. Seeing the box safety screaming from the other side of the field, I'm just going to stick my foot in the ground and you are going to fly past me because I was running at full speed and there is no way I should have been able to do that. His contact balance, he's not Ashton Genty because he's like 3 inches taller, and that's the only bad thing that I can say about it. Elite contortion ability. Some of the plays where it looked like he should have been down, like truly looks like he is down, and then you realize that his elbow is on top of a guy's chest, and so he's still up, is absolutely insane. You cannot kill this dude. We talked about not wanting to push Mekhi Hughes out of bounds. There were defensive backs that tried to get Jeremiah Love out of bounds by giving him a little love tap. No freaking way. He weaponizes the sidelines because it almost lulls you into a full sense of security. You think that, oh, he's a yard away from the sidelines and we have 5 guys closing in on Jeremiah Love. Plays over. Yeah, it's not, because he's going to stiff arm one and he's going to back juke another, and then he's going to run for a 60-yard touchdown. His athleticism is stellar. He has home run long speed and then some. Right at the beginning of the year, they lined him up in the slot a little bit, and I kind of wish they did it more, because on some of those reps, it looked like he was touching the mid to high 4.3s to me, like Nick Singleton, but with even better acceleration. He's just like a good all-around receiving back. Good hands, good routes, not perfect in pass protection, but like, come on, who is? He just doesn't really have weaknesses outside of the vision. And even if it doesn't get a lick better, and Gaston Genti said it best, it's about tackling at the next level, and nobody can get this guy on the ground. It's not going to matter. Pro Bowl is his floor. First round pick and then some.
Even if it doesn't get better, he's still going in the top 10. If it does get better, he's going in the top 5. That's what you got to say about him. That was an amazing report. I want to add more just because I want to talk about him, but I don't have much more to add. Like you said, he's just an awesome athlete. And he's doing it. He's an ethical athlete, if that makes any sense. Nick Singleton, unethical athlete. By this, I mean he maximizes his athleticism. I feel like Nick Singleton leaves some gains on the table with his athleticism. I think he's probably a better raw athlete. Jeremiah Love is the best game athlete in this class, and it is not close. He flies, and he comes like that first step is, honest to God, it may have more miles per hour on it. Like the third step may have more miles per hour on it than some guys on this list. That's not true, but I mean, it's got to be close. Holy crap. It's insane. Like you said, he just doesn't do anything badly except for the vision. And even then, I don't think the vision is bad. I just think it's kind of raw, because this is a guy who also, another thing in the positives is he's this awesome as a football player, and he hasn't played much football. So there's not as much tread on the tires. He was kind of a rotational back last year. I mean, if we go, I don't have it pulled up, but he didn't have, I think he had maybe 190 carries or something last year.
I have not a lot of tread on the tires as a strength on him. So I noticed that as well last year. He had 162, the year before 72. He has 234 career carries. That's all.
I mean, so he's doing this on stuff that if he was a guy who wasn't a great back, we'd say, okay, he hasn't played much football. I'm going to be lenient and say, give him some more years. But no, he's more polished than most guys in this class. Like he said, the contact balance borders on impossible. His feet are incredibly nimble, which is it's people think, okay, contact balance is like in the Cam Scadaboo way, where it's like, all right, you're going to hit me and I'm not going to move and I'm going to keep going. And that's part of it. And Love has that, but it's also being able to run your feet still and being able to keep your balance is a part of it. Having that core strength for a running back is really important. Have that balance to stay upright, and not only stay upright, but keep going. He gets hit, and sometimes he doesn't even lose speed. It's like that animation in Madden when you're on a kick return and a guy just slides off of you. And it's like Jeremiah Love's doing like half the plays. And the receiving stuff, they didn't use him much, but I liked what I saw. He's a good hands catcher, solid route runner. And what makes me very excited for this year, he's been training with the receivers this offseason. He's been splitting his time. He's working with the receivers. By the way, they got a really nice receiver in Notre Dame we'll talk about in the receivers episode. I don't know if we'll talk about him, Jaden Greathouse. That's why I'm going to mention him now, because I like him.
We'll talk about him.
Hopefully we do,
because
I like him quite a bit. Good. We could talk all day about Jeremiah Love because, man, it's just fun. He was one of the first guys I watched. Also, an underrated thing that we don't talk about as much, him and Jaden Ott were tied for the most creative rushers in the class, which when we're talking about what makes a good running back great in the NFL, sometimes it is just being creative. as a running back. When you get to that second level, I'm a great improviser. I'm so internalized it. I know what I'm looking at, that I can go on the fly and make these decisions and make these changes to just completely fuck up the worlds of linebackers, and just, they have no idea where I'm going. He's creative, and like you said, he bounces runs outside a lot, but he also bounced a lot of runs outside that he should have. He didn't really miss a chance to bounce a run outside, which I appreciated. Whenever the inside was clustered, I'm gonna go outside. I know my cue. So that was impressive. And I do think his overall vision, his processor is solid. There's stuff to be improved. You'd improve the tempo. I'd love to improve the patience. I did see flashes, though. I have no doubt that it's all going to come together. If it does come together, we're going to get irresponsible. I'm not going to do it today, but we're going to get irresponsible in April because, oh my goodness, he's awesome.
Before we get out of here, I somehow, even after that, have 3 more things that I realize I got to add. The first one is that he's tough. He's not the toughest running back in this class, but they did work with him as a lead blocker for Riley Leonard, and he took that seriously. Yeah. He takes pass protection seriously. He is fighting for every yard he can get after contact. So that's a box checked. The second is the hurdle with him is a legitimate threat on every single snap.
Sideline. Late toss to Love. He goes up and over.
Like, if you dive at Jeremiah Love in the flats head on, because if you dive at him from an oblique angle, he's just going to brush you off. You dive at him head on, you have to be worried that he's just going to jump right over your ass. And I caught myself watching other running backs getting drilled in the flats by convincing dive tackles from safeties. Oh, you just should have jumped over him. It's like, no, get that out of your head. Not everybody is Jeremiah Love. The vertical on this guy is going to be insane. And the third thing, could very well. The third thing, he throws his body around a ton. Super violent type of runner. We talked about all the bizarre angles he's able to escape and how he could just stand up with a defensive lineman on his back because he's obscenely strong. He's never fumbled.
Yeah. I don't know.
Jeremiah Love is good. I rest my case.
The way he's carrying the ball, he definitely should have fumbled by now, but it seems like every time anybody goes for it, I mean, I don't know what this guy curls, but it's got to be more than a lot. It's got to be a lot because just can't rip it out. I feel like if you try to peanut punch him out, he's just gripping the ball so tight, you couldn't move it. You know what? Ridiculous. Yeah, and when you mentioned earlier in the podcast, I think a well-executed truck is the most beautiful move you can see from a running back. Back in my mind, I was like, well, there's one. I got to mention that. Thank goodness you did. The Jeremiah Love hurdle is just beautiful. Like, it's like every other play, he's doing that one Brandon Ayuk play from 4 years ago where he just glides over the diving defender. Do you remember that play?
3rd down and 7. A little flip here to Ayuk, the rookie from Arizona State. And he'll bust it inside the 20 and the 10. And look at that! He hurdles his way into the end zone. Touchdown over Marcus Epps.
I think it was against the
Packers. I don't think I remember the Brandon Ayuk one.
Yeah. Well, there was one, and I still see it as a clip occasionally. And it's just Jeremiah Love's doing this on every other down. And also, the one thing is, like, he got his name made in the semis for that awesome run that he had. And that just shows you how tough he is, because not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 4 missed tackles. And he just carried 2 dudes with him into the end zone in the semifinals. That says something to me. He wants it more than you do, and he wants it more than a team in the college football playoff semifinals. This is a guy you never have to worry about effort with. I've heard good things about him inside the locker room as well. So he seems like the complete package as a running back. We're getting spoiled 2 straight years of, it looks like, incredible running back prospects. Honest to God, if he got hurt tomorrow, knock on wood, pray, hope, does not happen. If he got hurt and out of the season tomorrow, I'd still encourage him to come out and say, listen, dog, you got to get your money now. Because sophomore year tape is better than most guys' junior year, senior year tape that will ever come out.
You're talking me into a top 10 grade on him. I'm going to make some adjustments after the show. No, true first. Just a true first.
That's fair. I mean, because if you took him right now, it'd be tough to take him in the top 10, but I still think you probably would.
I really thought his down-to-down vision was terrible. I thought it was like bottom 3 of the guys that I watched. I thought the instincts were fantastic. But the thing is, it's not going to matter. quality starter is his floor. I love Jeremiah Love as a prospect, pun intended.
Nice. Yeah, I think I saw his vision a little bit better, but not that much. As you said, it is an issue, but insane football player. Like when we do the final summer scouting, like wrap up episode, I don't know where he's going to come in on the board because, I mean, he's got a couple of guys to compete with. You know, Caleb Downs is a good football player too. We're just going to have to see where he comes in.
Where is he on my board right now? So there are definitely more high-end prospects I want to get to. Right now, he is number 4 between Fano, or right now he is number 4 between Fano, Downs, and Mauingoa.
Ooh, you have Mauingoa above him.
I do.
Nice.
You know, offensive tackle position value bump.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see. Yeah, no, I do my position board. I had Genty as the number 2 player in the last class. I do it regardless of need. So if there is like the best long snapper prospect we've ever seen, I will put him number 1 overall. I will stand on this. All right. If there's an elite
Rocco Underwood, baby, 2027.
If there's an elite, oh my goodness, look at this ball knowledge on this man right here. This is our go-to for long snapper, name pronunciation, and overall just knowledge of the game and elite ball knowledge as well. But we want to shout out your other qualities too, right? But yeah, if there's an elite kicker, if there's a Janikowski level prospect, I'm gonna put him there. I'm gonna put him where he deserves. These guys deserve the love. I'm not gonna say you should draft him number 1 overall. I'm just saying, yeah, he's the best pound for pound player in this class. All right, so that's how I do my big board. And Jeremiah Love is going to be in the top 5, probably top 3, maybe number 1. I don't have an active big board going. I'm just going to do it all at the end of the year. So we'll see do it all at the end of summer. So we'll see how it goes.
In conclusion, draft kickers number 1 overall. Are we ready to recap?
Well, you forgot to say that we got to draft long snappers number 2.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we're ready.
You can really go any way you want between kickers, punters, and long snappers. Got to love some special teams coverage in there as well.
Right, very valuable.
Indeed.
All right, let's recap.
You want to go first?
All right. At number 10, I had Le'Veon Moss out of Texas A&M. At number 9, I had Jam Miller out of Alabama. Number 8, I had Darius Taylor out of Minnesota. Number 7, I had Mekhi Hughes out of Oregon. Number 6, I had Katrin Allen out of Penn State. Number 5, I had CJ Baxter out of Texas. Number 4, I had Jaden Ott out of Oklahoma. Number 3, I have Nick Singleton out of Penn State. Number 2, I have Jonah Coleman out of Washington. And number 1, I have Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame.
Excellent. At number 17, I have Amari Daniels out of Texas A&M. Number 16, I have Noah Whittington from Oregon. Number 15, Caden Fagan out of Illinois. Number 14, Cam Porter, the 7th-year running back. He's a really good player, I promise, out of Northwestern. Number 13, Le'Veon Moss, Texas A&M. Number 12, Fat Man, Katrin Allen, Penn State. Number 11, Jamarion Jam Miller, Alabama. Number 10, Mark Fletcher Jr., Miami. Number 9, Mekhi Hughes, played last year at Tulane, now at Oregon. Number 8, Jadarian Price, Notre Dame. Number 7, Jaden Ott, formerly of California. Everyone transferred out of California, by the way. I completely understand why. Now at Oklahoma. Number 6, Justice Haynes, formerly of Bama, now at Michigan. Number 5, Darius Taylor, Minnesota. Number 4, the big take, Bryson Washington at Baylor. And then the exact same top 3 as Victor. Number 3, Nick Singleton. Number 2, Jonah Coleman. And number 1, Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame.
Amazing.
Are we ready to get out of here?
Well, we're going to try one thing. If you made it this far into the episode, we appreciate you. We love you. I don't know how you did it, but that's awesome. And if you could please leave us a like, that would be amazing. If you don't want to, we also understand. My Jaden Ott take was irresponsible. My Jonah Coleman take was irresponsible, so I get it. But it would help us out quite a bit because we are a relatively small channel. We appreciate it in advance.
And then after you leave the like, seek help because you just watched 2.5 hours of 2 guys talking about football prospects. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, as always, stay hard.